Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got married with female Minato and Kushina? And subscribe if you enjoy the video. And also check the description. So let's begin the story. The morning sun cast golden rays across Konohagakure, painting the Hokage monument in shades of amber and rose. Naruto Uzumaki stood before the academy building, his forehead protector gleaming proudly on his brow, feeling as though his heart might burst from his chest. After years of struggle, failure, and determination that burned brighter than the sun itself, he'd finally done it. He was a genius. A real ninja. Believe it! He shouted to no one in particular, pumping his fist in the air. Several passing villagers gave him odd looks, but Naruto didn't care. For once, those looks weren't filled with the hatred and fear he'd grown accustomed to. Some even held respect. Iruka-sensei had given him his forehead protector personally, and the memory of his teacher's proud smile was something Naruto would treasure forever. But now came the next step, team assignments. His stomach churned with excitement and nervousness as he made his way to the academy's assignment hall. The room buzzed with the anxious energy of newly minted genin. Naruto spotted Sakura sitting near the window, her pink hair catching the light. She was staring dreamily at Sasuke, who sat brooding in the corner as usual. Naruto sighed. Some things never changed. Alright, settle down. Iruka called out, carrying a clipboard. I'm going to announce your 3-man squad assignments, and your Jonin instructors. Naruto leaned forward, hands clasped together. Please let me be on Sakura's team. Please let me be on Sakura's team, he chanted mentally. Team 7, Iruka began, and Naruto's attention sharpened to a razor's edge. Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, and Sasuke Uchiha. Yes. Naruto leaped from his seat, arms raised in victory. He was on Sakura's team. Sure, the team was there too, but he could deal with that. Your Jonin instructor will be. Iruka paused, consulting his clipboard with a slight frown. Actually, Team 7 has been assigned something unusual. You'll have 2 instructors as part of a new training initiative. Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki will be your team leaders. Murmurs rippled through the classroom. Naruto blinked in confusion. He'd never heard those names before, but one of them was an Uzumaki. Someone from his clan. His heart raced with unexpected excitement. 2 instructors? Sakura whispered to her friend Ino. That's never happened before. Minato Namikaze is the one they called the Golden Flash's successor, Ino whispered back, eyes wide. She's supposed to be incredibly fast and powerful. And Kushina Uzumaki is from the rebuilt Yuzushiogakure. She's a seal master. Naruto's ears perked up at this information. The Golden Flash's successor? That sounded awesome. And a seal master from his own clan? This was getting better and better. Sasuke, predictably, showed no reaction beyond a slight narrowing of his eyes. Your instructors will meet you on the roof in 1 hour, Iruka continued. Use this time to prepare yourselves. Dismissed. An hour had never felt so long. Naruto paced back and forth across the academy rooftop, his nervous energy impossible to contain. Sakura sat primly on a bench, occasionally checking her reflection in a small compact mirror. Sasuke leaned against the wall, arms crossed, the picture of enforced indifference. Would you stop pacing? Sakura snapped at Naruto. You're making me dizzy. I can't help it, Sakura-chan. Naruto replied, running his hands through his spiky blonde hair. Aren't you excited? We're about to meet our instructors. And one of them is from my clan. Your clan that you know nothing about, Sasuke interjected coldly. Don't get your hopes up, dead last. Naruto whirled on him, fists clenched. What's that supposed to mean, team? Before Sasuke could respond, a brilliant yellow flash appeared in the center of the rooftop, followed immediately by a swirl of crimson chakra. Naruto stumbled backward, shielding his eyes from the sudden burst of light. When his vision cleared, 2 women stood before them. The first was tall and willowy with long golden hair that felt like silk to her mid-back. She had striking blue eyes that seemed to see right through everything, and she wore a modified Jonin uniform with orange accents and a white haori that bore the Namikaze clan symbol. She couldn't have been more than 22 or 23, and she carried herself with a grace and confidence that reminded Naruto of water flowing over stone, fluid, powerful, unstoppable. The second woman was slightly shorter but no less imposing. Her hair was a brilliant crimson red that fell in waves past her shoulders, and her violet eyes sparkled with barely contained energy and mischief. She wore a purple and black combat suit with the Uzumaki swirl prominently displayed on her back, and Naruto could see intricate seal designs tattooed along her arms. She looked perhaps a year or two younger than her companion, and where the blonde radiated calm authority, the redhead practically vibrated with fierce vitality. Well, the redhead said, her voice carrying a warm, melodic quality that nevertheless held steel beneath. So you're the new Team 7, the blonde smiled gently, and Naruto felt his breath catch. That smile was kind, genuinely kind, in a way that made his chest ache for reasons he couldn't identify. I am Minako Namikaze, the blonde said, her voice smooth and measured. Jonin of Konohagakure, specializing in space-time ninjutsu, sealing techniques, and lightning release. And I'm Kushina Uzumaki, databaying. The redhead announced with a grin that showed all her teeth. Seal Master, Sensor-type ninja, and I specialize in chakra chains and wind release. Together, we're going to be your instructors. Naruto stared at Kushina, his mouth hanging open. She'd added databane to the end of her sentence, a verbal tick that was eerily similar to his own databayo. And her hair, that incredible red hair, it reminded him of someone, though he couldn't quite place it. 2 instructors, Sasuke said flatly, pushing off from the wall. Why? Minako's expression became more serious. Because the 3 of you have the potential to become something extraordinary. You, Sasuke Uchiha, the last loyal son of your clan, carrying the weight of your bloodline's legacy. Sakura Harino, possessing precise chakra control that most jonin would envy, despite your lack of formal training. And Naruto Uzumaki. She paused, her blue eyes locking onto Naruto's, and for just a moment, something flickered across her face. Recognition? Sadness? It was gone before he could identify it. The most unpredictable ninja I've ever heard of, with chakra reserves that defy all logic and a determination that refuses to acknowledge the meaning of the word impossible. Naruto felt heat rise to his cheeks. Was she praising him? Adults never praised him. But potential means nothing without discipline, training, and teamwork, Kushina continued, her violet eyes sweeping over all 3 of them. Which is why, before we officially become your instructors, you need to pass our test. Test? Sakura squeaked. But we already graduated. The academy graduation is just the first step, Minako explained. The real test of whether you're ready to be ninja comes now. Meet us at Training Ground 7 tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Don't eat breakfast, you'll just throw it up. Wait! Naruto called out as both women turned to leave. What kind of test is it? Kushina looked back over her shoulder, her grin turning slightly wicked. You'll find out tomorrow, Gaki. Just make sure you come prepared to give it everything you've got, databaying. And with that, Minako placed a hand on Kushina's shoulder, and both women vanished in a flash of yellow light, leaving 3 very confused genin behind. Naruto couldn't sleep. He lay in his small apartment, staring at the ceiling, his mind racing with thoughts of the 2 women who would be his instructors. There was something about them, something that pulled at him in ways he didn't understand. Kushina's red hair reminded him of feelings he couldn't name, warmth, safety, home. And Minako's blue eyes, so similar to his own, had looked at him with an expression he'd seen so rarely in his life that it took him a moment to recognize it, genuine care. He rolled onto his side, hugging his pillow. An Uzumaki. Kushina was an Uzumaki, just like him. Did that mean they were related? Was she family? The thought made his heart race with hope and fear in equal measure. He'd been alone for so long, the idea of having family seemed almost too good to be true. And what about that test tomorrow? What would they have to do? Naruto's mind conjured increasingly elaborate scenarios, each more dramatic than the last. Finally, as the first light of dawn began to creep through his window, Naruto gave up on sleep. He got up, splashed water on his face, and stared at his reflection in the cracked mirror above his sink. I'm going to pass this test, he told his reflection firmly. I'm going to show them what Naruto Uzumaki can do, Databayo. His reflection stared back, dark circles under its eyes but determination burning bright. Training Ground 7 was shrouded in early morning mist when Naruto arrived at exactly 5 a.m. He'd been so worried about being late that he'd actually shown up 10 minutes early. Sasuke was already there, of course, looking as fresh as if he'd had a full night's sleep. Sakura arrived a few minutes later, yawning and looking distinctly less enthusiastic about the early hour. "You're all punctual," Minako's voice came from above them. She was standing on a tree branch, seemingly unconcerned about gravity. "That's good. It shows respect for others' time." Kushina dropped down from another tree, landing with cat-like grace. "Alright, here's how this is going to work, Databang. You see these bells?" She held up her hand, showing them 2 small silver bells attached to a red string. "Your task is to take these bells from us before noon," Minako explained, dropping down to stand beside Kushina. "You can use any means necessary. Come at us with the intent to kill, or you'll never succeed." "But wait," Sakura said, her analytical mind already working. "There are 3 of us and only 2 bells. That means one of you is going to fail and be sent back to the academy," Kushina finished. "That's right. Only 2 of you can possibly pass this test." Naruto felt his stomach drop. Back to the academy? After everything he'd been through to graduate? No. No way. He'd get one of those bells no matter what. "You have until noon," Minako said, pulling out a small alarm clock and setting it on a tree stump. "Begin." All 3 genin scattered into the surrounding forest. Naruto found himself crouched behind a thick tree trunk, his heart pounding. Intent to kill? Against Jonin-level opponents? This was insane, but wait. Naruto forced himself to think, really think, instead of just charging in like he usually did. 2 bells, 3 students. They were being set up to fight each other for the bells. But what if that wasn't the point? What if the real test was something else? Before he could follow that thought further, he heard Sakura scream. Naruto rushed toward the scream, all strategy forgotten in his instinct to help. He burst into a clearing to find Sakura trapped in a genjutsu, trembling and crying as she saw something only she could perceive. Sasuke was nearby, engaged in a fierce taijutsu exchange with Kushina, while Minako stood calmly observing. "Sakura-chan!" Naruto shouted, forming his signature hand seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 20 clones burst into existence, all charging at Minako at once. She didn't even blink. "Predictable," she said softly, and suddenly she wasn't where she had been. In a series of movements too fast for Naruto's eyes to follow, all 20 clones were dispelled, and Naruto found himself flat on his back with Minako's kunai at his throat. "You rushed in without assessing the situation," she said, her voice not unkind despite the lecture. "You didn't consider that Sakura might be in a genjutsu rather than real danger. You didn't work with your teammate. And you showed me all your cards in a single, straightforward attack." She stood up, offering him a hand. Confused, Naruto took it, and she pulled him to his feet. "Try again," she said simply. "Think first, then act." Meanwhile, Sasuke was discovering that Kushina was far beyond his current abilities. Every fireball jutsu he threw, she deflected or dodged with minimal effort. When he tried to use his superior speed and the Sharingan he'd recently awakened, she laughed. "Your eyes are sharp, Uchiha, but you're still thinking like a student, not a shinobi, Databang." She moved in a blur, and suddenly golden chains erupted from her body, wrapping around Sasuke and pinning him to a tree. "These are the adamantine sealing chains," she explained as Sasuke struggled futilely against them. "An Uzumaki clan technique. They can restrain even a tailed beast. What makes you think you can break free? Let me go!" Sasuke demanded, frustration and humiliation burning in his eyes. "When you figure out what this test is really about," Kushina replied, releasing him. "Now get back out there and try again. This time, use that smart brain of yours instead of just your pride." Sakura, meanwhile, had been released from the genjutsu by Minako and was sitting against the tree, looking shell-shocked. That was terrible," she whispered. I saw Sasuke-kun rejecting me, everyone laughing at me, saying I'd never be a real ninja." "Genjutsu preys on your fears and insecurities," Minako said gently, kneeling beside her. "A ninja must be strong not just in body and technique, but in mind and spirit. What you saw wasn't real, Sakura, but the feelings it brought up, those come from somewhere inside you. Understanding and accepting those feelings is part of becoming stronger. Sakura looked up at her with tear-filled eyes. How do I do that? By being honest with yourself about who you are and who you want to be, Minako replied. And by relying on your teammates. No one becomes strong alone. The sun climbed higher in the sky as the three genin tried again and again to get the bells. Naruto created more clones, trying different strategies. Sasuke attempted to use stealth and misdirection. Sakura, despite her fear, tried to support them from a distance. But nothing worked. Minako and Kushina were always one step ahead, always faster, always more skilled. As noon approached, all three students were exhausted, dirty, and discouraged. They sat in the clearing, not even looking at each other, each lost in their own frustration and sense of failure. The alarm clock went off. Time's up, Minako announced. None of you got a bell, which means all three of you fail, Kushina added, crossing her arms. What? Naruto jumped to his feet. But we tried so hard. I mean, yeah, we didn't get the bells, but you know what you did get? Kushina interrupted, and there was something different in her voice now. Less harsh, more satisfied? You got so focused on competing with each other that you forgot to work together. Minato stepped forward, and now she was smiling. This test was never really about the bells. It was about teamwork. In the ninja world, those who break the rules are trash, that's true. But you know what? Those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. Naruto's eyes widened as understanding dawned. The scenario was designed to make you compete, Minako continued. 3 students, 2 bells. But the real answer was to work together as a team. A 3-person cell is strongest when all 3 members support each other, not when they fight amongst themselves. But, Sakura spoke up hesitantly. If we all worked together and still couldn't get the bells, wouldn't we all still fail? Kushina grinned broadly. If you'd all worked together with true teamwork, putting the team above your individual goals, we would have passed you regardless of whether you got the bells, Databane. That's the point. Sasuke's eyes were wide with realization. So the test was never about combat ability. It was about understanding what it means to be part of a team, Minako confirmed. However, she paused, and her smile grew. You 3 did show something toward the end. Naruto, you kept trying to draw our attention away from Sakura and Sasuke. Sakura, you warned the others several times about incoming attacks even though it put you at risk. And Sasuke, you actually coordinated with Naruto on that last attempt, even if you didn't realize you were doing it. You showed the beginnings of teamwork, Kushina said, her violet eyes sparkling. It was instinctive and unpolished, but it was there. And that's enough for us to see your potential. So, Naruto hardly dared to hope. Does that mean? Both women smiled. Congratulations, they said in unison. You pass. After the test, Minako and Kushina treated their new students to lunch at Ichiraku Ramen. Naruto was in heaven, slurping down bowl after bowl, while Sakura ate more delicately and Sasuke picked at his food in typical brooding fashion. So, Kushina said, watching with amusement as Naruto finished his 5th bowl, now that you're officially our students, there are some things you need to understand about how Team 7 is going to work. First, Minako continued, we train together. All 5 of us. Kushina and I aren't just going to give you assignments and watch. We'll be actively participating in your development. Second, Kushina added, pointing her chopsticks at each of them in turn, we protect each other. Always. I don't care if you 3 don't particularly like each other right now. On missions, in battle, in life, you watch each other's backs, Databane. That's not negotiable. Third, Minako said, her voice becoming more serious, we're honest with each other. If you're struggling with something, you tell us. If you have a problem with a teammate, you address it. This team only works if we all communicate. Naruto nodded eagerly, already feeling a warmth in his chest he hadn't experienced before. This was what it felt like to be part of something, to belong to a team. To have people who cared about your success. Kushina-sensei, he said suddenly, the question that had been burning in his mind all day finally coming out. You're an Uzumaki, like me. Does that mean are we related? Something flickered across Kushina's face, an expression that Naruto couldn't quite read. Sadness? Longing? She exchanged a glance with Minako before answering. The Uzumaki clan was large once, she said slowly. We were scattered when Yuzushiobikyo was destroyed. It's possible we're distant relatives, several times removed. Why do you ask? Because I've never met anyone else from my clan, Naruto said, his voice quiet. I've never had. I don't know anything about where I come from. About my family. Kushina reached out and, to Naruto's surprise, ruffled his hair affectionately. The gesture was so motherly, so warm, that Naruto felt his eyes begin to sting. Then I'll teach you, she said softly. I'll teach you about our clan, about our history, about the strength that flows in Uzumaki blood. You're not alone anymore, Gaki. Not as long as I'm around, Databane. Naruto couldn't speak around the lump in his throat, so he just nodded, blinking rapidly. Minako watched this exchange with an expression that was hard to define, something like bittersweet joy mixed with old grief. She caught Kushina's eye again, and some silent communication passed between them. All right, Minako said, breaking the moment before it became too heavy. Let's talk about your individual training plans. Sasuke, I've been told you've awakened your Sharingan? Sasuke nodded curtly. Good. I'll be working with you on how to use it more effectively, as well as expanding your ninjutsu repertoire. The Sharingan is a powerful tool, but it's not a substitute for fundamental skills and strategy. Sakura, Kushina took over. Your chakra control is exceptional, but you need to build up your physical strength and learn to apply that control in combat situations. I'm going to be working you hard on taijutsu, and teaching you some basic medical ninjutsu. And Naruto, Minako said, her blue eyes meeting his, you have the opposite problem from Sakura. You have massive chakra reserves but poor control. We're going to work on refinement, strategy, and helping you become more than just a powerhouse of raw energy. But don't worry, Kushina added with a grin, we'll also be teaching you some serious Uzumaki techniques. That chakra of yours is perfect for some of the more advanced sealing arts. Naruto's eyes lit up. Really? You're going to teach me Uzumaki techniques? Of course, Kushina said, and the way she looked at him made Naruto's heart warm. You're one of us. It's time you learned what that means. That night, Naruto fell into bed exhausted but happier than he'd been in years. He had a team. He had instructors who seemed to actually care about him. He had someone from his own clan willing to teach him about his heritage. As he drifted off to sleep, his mind began to wander through strange landscapes. He dreamed of a woman with long red hair, smiling at him with such love it made his heart ache. She was saying something, but he couldn't hear the words. Beside her stood a man with blonde hair and blue eyes, one hand on her shoulder, looking at Naruto with an expression of infinite pride and sadness. The scene shifted. Now he was seeing through someone else's eyes, looking down at a small bundle wrapped in blankets, a tiny baby with whisker marks on its cheeks and the bluest eyes imaginable. He felt love so powerful it was almost painful, mixed with a crushing fear and desperate hope. I'm sorry, a woman's voice said, and somehow Naruto knew it was coming from whoever's eyes he was seeing through. I'm so sorry we can't be there for you. But you are loved. Always remember that you are loved. Naruto woke with a gasp, tears streaming down his face. The dream had felt so real, so vivid. Who were those people? Why did they feel so familiar? Across the village, in a small apartment she shared with Minako, Kushina Uzumaki sat bolt upright in bed, her hand pressed to her chest, her breath coming in short gasps. Kushina? Minako's voice came from the doorway, concerned. Another one? The dreams are getting stronger, Kushina whispered. Minako, I saw him. The baby? But this time he looked back at me. Those blue eyes, Naruto's eyes. What is happening to us? Minako sat on the edge of Kushina's bed, taking her friend's hand. I don't know. But I've been having them too. Memories that can't be mine, of a life I never lived. And they all center around that boy. It doesn't make sense, Kushina said, frustration evident in her voice. I'm only 24 years old. I couldn't have been his mother, and yet every time I look at him, every time he smiles or shows that stubborn determination, I feel this overwhelming urge to protect him, to hold him, to tell him that everything is going to be okay. I know, Minako said quietly. I feel it too. That's why I requested we be assigned as his instructors. I thought if we could just be around him, understand these feelings, maybe they would make sense. But they're only getting stronger, Kushina pointed out. Yes, Minako agreed. And there's something else. Today, during the test, when Naruto created all those shadow clones and charged at me. She paused, closing her eyes. For just a moment, I saw a different version of him. Older, stronger, wearing a different headband. And I remembered, teaching him the Flying Thunder God technique. That's impossible, Kushina breathed. You've never taught anyone that technique. You've only recently mastered it yourself. I know what's impossible, and I know what I saw, Minako insisted. These aren't just dreams, Kushina. They're memories. Somehow, someway, we're remembering a life we never lived. A life where we were. She couldn't finish the sentence. Where we were his parents, Kushina completed softly. Where you were Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage. And I was your wife, Kushina Uzumaki. Where we sealed the 9 tails into our newborn son and died to protect the village. They sat in silence for a long moment, the implications of what they were suggesting hanging heavy in the air. If this is true, Minako finally said, if these are somehow real memories from another life, another timeline, what do we do about it? We can't tell him, Kushina said immediately. How do we even begin to explain something like this? Hey Naruto, we're having memories of being your parents in another life. Isn't that crazy? He'd think we were insane. More importantly, Minako added, we need to figure out why this is happening. Is it some kind of jutsu? A genjutsu? Or is something bigger going on? Tomorrow I'll start researching, Kushina decided. The Uzumaki clan has extensive records on sealing techniques and chakra phenomena. Maybe there's something there that can explain this. And in the meantime? Minako asked. In the meantime, we do exactly what we've been doing, Kushina said, her voice firm despite the tremor of emotion beneath it. We train him. We protect him. We give him what he's been denied his whole life. People who genuinely care about him, who see his potential, who want him to succeed. Even if we can't tell him why we care so much, Minako added softly. Even then, Kushina confirmed. Because whether these memories are real or not, whether we were his parents in some other life or not, right now in this life, that boy deserves every bit of support and love we can give him. Minako smiled, squeezing her friend's hand. Agreed. Now try to get some sleep. We have training with Team 7 tomorrow. But neither woman slept easily that night, their minds full of dreams and memories that didn't belong to them, centered around a bright-eyed boy with blonde hair and an indomitable spirit. Over the following weeks, Team 7 fell into a rhythm. Every morning at dawn, they met at Training Ground 7 for physical conditioning and chakra control exercises. Afternoons were dedicated to individual skill development. Sasuke working with Minako on his Sharingan and ninjutsu, Sakura training with Kushina on taijutsu and medical basics, and Naruto splitting his time between both instructors as they worked on refining his massive but uncontrolled chakra. It was during one of these training sessions that Kushina decided to begin teaching Naruto about his heritage. Alright, Gaki, she said, sitting cross-legged on the grass while Naruto sprawled out nearby, exhausted from yet another round of chakra control exercises. Time for a history lesson, Naruto groaned. Do we have to? I'm terrible at history. This is your history, Kushina said firmly. The history of the Uzumaki clan. Don't you want to know where you come from? That got Naruto's attention. He sat up, giving her his full focus. The Uzumaki clan, Kushina began, was once one of the most powerful and respected clans in the shinobi world. We founded Yuzushiogakyur, the village hidden in whirling tides. We were masters of sealing techniques, known for our exceptional longevity, our massive chakra reserves, and our incredible life force. Is that why I can take so much damage and keep going? Naruto asked, thinking of all the times he'd been beaten up but refused to stay down. Exactly, Kushina confirmed with a smile. Uzumaki are naturally tough. We heal faster than most people, and we have the stamina to keep fighting long after others would have collapsed. But our real strength was always in our sealing techniques. She held up her hand, and golden chains materialized, flowing from her palm like liquid light. Naruto's eyes widened. These are the adamantine sealing chains, Kushina explained. They're one of the signature techniques of the Uzumaki clan. Not every Uzumaki can use them. It requires a specific combination of chakra nature and control. But those who are capable of restraining even the most powerful opponents. Can I learn that? Naruto asked eagerly. Maybe, Kushina said, dismissing the chains. But first, you need to master the basics. Sealing is as much about theory and understanding as it is about chakra manipulation. It's an art form, a science, and a discipline all at once. That sounds complicated, Naruto admitted. It is, Kushina agreed. But you know what? I think you're smart enough to learn it. You just need to apply yourself. Naruto blinked. You think I'm smart? Kushina looked at him with surprise. Of course you're smart. You invented a Jonin-level technique, the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and made it your signature move. You think of unconventional solutions to problems that stump other people. You're not dumb, Naruto. You're just unpolished. Like a rough diamond that needs the right teacher to help you shine. The look on Naruto's face, hope, gratitude, disbelief all mixed together, made Kushina's heart clench. How many people had told this child he was worthless? How many had given up on him before even trying? I won't let you down, Kushina-sensei, Naruto said, his voice thick with emotion. I promise I'll work really hard. I know you will, Kushina said, reaching out to ruffle his hair again. It was becoming a habit, this gesture, and Naruto seemed to lean into it like a plant seeking sunlight. Now let's start with some basic sealing theory. Meanwhile, on another part of the training ground, Minato was working with Sasuke on his speed and reflexes. Your Sharingan lets you see attacks coming, Minato explained, moving through a kata so fast she was almost a blur. But seeing an attack and being able to respond to it are two different things. Your body needs to be fast enough to match what your eyes can perceive. She stopped, turning to face Sasuke. Attack me? Use your full speed. Sasuke didn't hesitate. He moved in a burst of speed that would have impressed most Jonin. His kunai aimed at Minako's blind spot. But she was simply gone, reappearing behind him with the kunai pressed lightly against his back. Again, she said. They repeated the exercise over and over, with Minako gradually increasing her speed and decreasing the amount of warning she gave him. Each time, she effortlessly dodged or countered his attacks. You're frustrated, she observed after the 10th failed attempt. You think your Sharingan should be enough to keep up with me. It should be, Sasuke bit out, breathing hard. The Sharingan is a tool, Sasuke. A powerful one, but still just a tool. It doesn't make you invincible. And it doesn't substitute for skill, training, and experience. Minako's voice was gentle but firm. Your brother had the Sharingan too, and he was powerful not because of his eyes alone, but because he trained relentlessly to master every aspect of being a shinobi. The mention of Itachi made Sasuke flinch, and Minako mentally cursed herself. The wounds from that night were still too raw. I'm not trying to diminish your pain, she said quietly. I'm trying to help you become strong enough to achieve your goals. But you need to understand that obsessing over your brother, training solely for revenge, that will limit you. True strength comes from protecting what you care about, not just destroying what you hate. You don't understand, Sasuke said coldly. Maybe not, Minako admitted. But I do know this. The path of revenge is a lonely one that often destroys the person walking it. I don't want to see that happen to you, Sasuke. You have teammates now. People who are starting to care about you. Don't throw that away. Sasuke didn't respond, but Minako could see her words had affected him, even if he wasn't ready to acknowledge it. Across the training ground, Sakura was discovering that Kushina's idea of building physical strength involved a truly brutal training regimen. Again, Kushina called out as Sakura completed her 100th punch against the training post. And put your hips into it this time, Databane. Taijutsu isn't just about arm strength, it's about using your whole body. Sakura's arms felt like jelly, but she forced herself to continue. She'd been so focused on Sasuke, on her appearance, on fitting in with the other girls that she neglected actual ninja training. Kushina was making her pay for that oversight. Why? Sakura panted between punches. Why are you pushing me so hard? Because you have potential that you're wasting, Kushina replied bluntly. Your chakra control is the best I've seen in someone your age. Do you know how rare that is? With proper training, you could become a medical ninja, someone who saves lives on every mission. But medical ninja need to be strong enough to protect their patients and themselves. That means conditioning your body as well as your mind. I don't want to be a medical ninja, Sakura said, stopping to catch her breath. I want to be strong like Sasuke-kun, to fight alongside him. Stop, Kushina interrupted, and her voice was sharp enough to make Sakura freeze. Listen to me, Sakura. You want to know what the fastest way to fail as a ninja is? It's defining yourself solely by your relationship to someone else. You need to figure out who Sakura Haruno is, what she wants, what she's capable of, separate from any boy, separate from anyone else's expectations. Kushina's violet eyes bored into Sakura's. I'm not saying don't care about your teammates. Care about them, support them, work with them. But don't make them your entire world. Because if you do, what happens when they're not there? What happens when you need to stand on your own? The words hit Sakura harder than any physical blow. She never thought about it that way. I don't know who I am without. Sakura started, then stopped, shame coloring her cheeks. Then that's the first thing you need to figure out, Kushina said, her voice gentler now. And I'm going to help you, because the Sakura I've been watching these past few weeks, the one who analyzes situations brilliantly, who has the precision to perform complex techniques on her first try, who got up every single time I knocked her down despite being exhausted, that Sakura is someone worth knowing. Someone strong and capable and determined. You just need to see it in yourself. Tears pricked at Sakura's eyes, but she blinked them back. Thank you, Sensei, she whispered. Don't thank me, Kushina replied with a grin. Thank me by getting back to training. We've got another 100 punches to go. A month into their training, Team 7 received their first real mission beyond catching cats and pulling weeds, escorting a bridge builder named Tazuna back to the land of waves. It was supposed to be a simple C-rank mission, nothing dangerous. Of course, it went sideways almost immediately. The attack by the Demon Brothers, the encounter with Zabuza Momochi, and the revelation that Tazuna had lied about the mission rank. All of it happened in a chaotic blur. But what struck Naruto most was how Minato and Kushina handled it. When Zabuza's massive blade had come swinging toward them, Minato had teleported in a flash of yellow light, repositioning their entire group to safety. And when the rogue ninja's water clone had tried to take out Tazuna, Kushina's golden chains had erupted from her body, wrapping around the clone and crushing it instantly. You kids stay back, Kushina had ordered, her voice brooking no argument. This one's out of your league. Naruto had watched, awed, as his two teachers fought Zabuza with a combination of speed, power, and seamless coordination that made it clear they'd fought together many times before. Minako's space-time techniques kept the enemy off balance, while Kushina's sealing chains and sensor abilities prevented any sneak attacks. But it was when Zabuza had managed to catch Minako in his water prison jutsu that things had gotten truly interesting. Minako! Kushina had screamed, and the raw emotion in her voice had shocked Naruto. It wasn't just concern for a comrade, it was deeper, more personal. It was the cry of someone watching their most precious person in danger. Golden chains had exploded from Kushina's body in greater numbers than Naruto had ever seen, dozens of them, all aimed at Zabuza with lethal intent. The sheer killing intent radiating from her had made even Naruto take a step back. Release her now, Kushina had said, her voice deadly quiet, or I'll tear you apart, Databang. The battle had ended shortly after, with Zabuza retreating and his mysterious masked companion, later revealed to be Haku, escaping with him. But that moment had stuck with Naruto. The way Kushina had reacted, the way Minako had reached for Kushina first once she was free, the way they'd looked at each other. There was something there, something important that Naruto couldn't quite name. Are Kushina-sensei and Minako-sensei together? Sakura had asked later, voicing what they were all wondering. Together how? Naruto asked, confused. Sakura rolled her eyes. Together, dummy. Like a couple. Naruto's eyes widened as understanding dawned. Oh. Are they? He thought about it, remembering little moments. The way they finished each other's sentences, the shared apartment Kushina had mentioned, the gentle touches and knowing looks. Huh. Maybe? It would explain the coordinated training methods and the joint assignment, Sasuke pointed out pragmatically. Either way, it's not our business. But Naruto found himself curious. If his teachers were together, what did that mean? He'd never really thought about relationships before, never had the frame of reference for what they looked like. But the care between Minato and Kushina was obvious, and it made something in Naruto's chest feel warm. That night, as they stayed at Tazuna's house, Naruto found himself on the roof, unable to sleep. To his surprise, both of his teachers were already there, sitting close together and looking up at the stars. "Can't sleep, Gaki?" Kushina asked, noticing him. "Just thinking," Naruto admitted, sitting down near them. "Today was intense." "That's putting it mildly," Minato said with a slight smile. "You three did well though. You followed orders, protected the client, and didn't panic." "Kushina-sensei," Naruto said hesitantly, "when you saw Minako-sensei trapped in that water prison, you got really scary. I've never felt killing intent like that before." Kushina exchanged a glance with Minako. "When someone you care about is in danger, you find strength you didn't know you had," she said carefully. She's the most important person in my life. The thought of losing her voice caught, and Minako reached over to take her hand. "We're partners," Minako explained. "In every sense of the word. We trust each other completely, fight beside each other, live together. And yes, Naruto, we love each other." "Is that a problem?" "No," Naruto said quickly. "I think it's cool. I've never really seen two people care about each other like that before. It's nice." Both women looked at him with expressions that made Naruto's chest tighten, sadness mixed with affection, understanding mixed with pain. "Everyone deserves to have people who care about them like that," Minako said softly. "To have someone who would fight for them, protect them, believe in them no matter what. You deserve that too, Naruto." "I have you guys," Naruto said, smiling. "My team. That's enough for me." "Good," Kushina said, her voice thick. "Because you're stuck with us now, Databane. We're not going anywhere." They sat together in comfortable silence, looking up at the stars, each lost in their own thoughts. None of them noticed the way Minako and Kushina's hands remained clasped, or how both women occasionally looked at Naruto with expressions of such complex emotion that it would have taken a novelist to describe them. In the days that followed, as Team 7 continued their mission in Wave Country, the bonds between them grew stronger. Naruto's determination inspired Sakura to push past her limits. Sasuke's skills challenged Naruto to improve. And through it all, Minako and Kushina guided them, protected them, and slowly began to heal the wounds of loneliness and pain that all three children carried. The dreams continued for both teachers, memories of another life bleeding through into this one. But now they had a purpose, a focus for all that mysterious emotion and impossible knowledge. They had students to train, a team to protect, and a bright-eyed boy with blonde hair and an indomitable will who somehow felt like the missing piece to a puzzle they hadn't known they were trying to solve. The truth of what was happening, why they had these memories, what it all meant, that would come later. For now, all that mattered was the here and now, Team 7, together, facing whatever challenges came their way as a family in everything but name. And if sometimes, late at night, Kushina would whisper "my son" while looking at photos of the team, or if Minako would find herself unconsciously using the same proud, gentle tone that a father might use with his child, well, those were mysteries for another day. The morning mist hung thick over the unfinished bridge, creating an eerie atmosphere that put everyone on edge. Team 7 had been in Wave Country for nearly 2 weeks now, and the tension had been building steadily. Gato's thugs had attempted several attacks on Tazuna, all of which had been repelled, but everyone knew the real threat was still out there. Zabuza Momochi and his mysterious companion. Naruto walked alongside Tazuna, his eyes scanning the mist with a vigilance that would have been impossible for him just months ago. Training with Minako and Kushina had sharpened his instincts, taught him to pay attention to details he would have previously missed. "You're quiet today, kid," Tazuna observed, taking a swig from his ever-present bottle of sake. "Usually you're bouncing off the walls with energy." "Just being careful," Naruto replied, his hand resting on the kunai pouch at his hip. Kushina-sensei said that the quiet moments before a battle are when you need to be most alert. Tazuna chuckled. "Those teachers of yours have really gotten through to you, haven't they?" Naruto's face broke into a genuine smile. They're amazing. Kushina-sensei is teaching me about sealing techniques and the Uzumaki clan, and Minako-sensei is helping me with strategy and chakra control. I've learned more in the past month than I did in years at the academy. It helps when you have teachers who actually believe in you, Sakura added from behind them. She looked different now, more confident in her movements, her arms showing the beginning of real muscle definition from Kushina's brutal training regimen. Sasuke brought up the rear, his Sharingan activated, spinning slowly as he monitored their surroundings. He'd been quieter than usual since Minako's words about revenge and loneliness, and Naruto had caught him actually working with the team more often instead of trying to do everything alone. Minako and Kushina walked on either side of the group, their sensory abilities stretched to maximum range. Both women had been tense since yesterday, when Kushina's sensor abilities had detected Zabuza's chakra signature nearby. He's healed, Kushina had reported to Minako in private. That mysterious companion of his, the masked one, must have medical skills. They'll attack soon. Then we need to be ready, Minako had replied. But this time, we're not holding back. No more water prisons, no more surprises. If Zabuza wants a fight, we'll end it. The memory of Minako trapped in that water prison still made Kushina's blood boil. She'd felt a terror in that moment that defied explanation, a bone-deep fear of loss that went beyond normal concern for a partner or teammate. In her mind, she'd seen flashes of another time, another place, a massive nine-tailed fox, a woman with red hair lying exhausted after childbirth, a man with blonde hair preparing to seal a monster into their son. The visions were getting stronger, more detailed, and more impossible to ignore. Incoming! Minako's voice cut through the mist, sharp and commanding. The attack came from all sides simultaneously. Mist thickened to the point of blindness, and the temperature dropped noticeably. Zabuza's signature technique, the hidden mist jutsu, Formation Delta. Kushina called out, and Team 7 instantly moved into the defensive position they practiced. The three genin formed a triangle around Tazuna, weapons drawn, while Minako and Kushina stood back-to-back at the center, their sensory abilities compensating for the lack of visibility. Well, Zabuza's voice echoed through the mist, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. You're better trained than last time. But it won't matter. Haku, take care of the brats. I'll handle the jonin. Yes, Zabuza-sama, a soft voice replied. Naruto felt a chill run down his spine that had nothing to do with the temperature. There was something sad in that voice, something resigned and lonely that reminded him of himself. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, listen carefully, Minako's voice cut through his thoughts. The masked ninja is going to try to separate you from us. Don't let that happen. Stay together, stay defensive, and if you get an opening, signal us immediately. And remember, Kushina added, her chain's already beginning to materialize, you've trained for this. Trust your skills, trust your teammates, and don't do anything stupid. That last part was specifically for you, Naruto, Sasuke muttered. Hey! Naruto protested, but he was grinning despite the danger. Because Sasuke was right, he would have charged in recklessly before. But now he understood the value of teamwork, of strategy, of thinking before acting. The battle began in earnest. Haku moved like water through the mist, his speed almost supernatural. Before Team 7 could react, mirrors of ice began forming around them, crystalline structures that reflected their images back at them from every angle. Secret technique, crystal ice mirrors. Haku's voice echoed from within the mirrors. I'm sorry, but I cannot allow you to interfere with Zabuza-sama's mission. It's a barrier technique. Sakura analyzed quickly, her mind racing. He's trapped us inside. Then we break out. Sasuke activated his Sharingan fully, trying to track Haku's movements as the masked ninja began moving between the mirrors at impossible speeds. But even with his enhanced perception, Sasuke couldn't keep up. Senbon needles flew from every direction, forcing the genin to dodge desperately. Meanwhile, Minako and Kushina faced Zabuza in direct combat. Without the element of surprise, the battle was much more even, or rather, it would have been if Zabuza hadn't been facing two jonin instead of one. You should have brought backup, Kushina taunted, her chains lashing out to deflect Zabuza's massive blade. Did you really think you could take both of us? I don't need to defeat you, Zabuza replied, his eyes cold above his bandaged face. I just need to keep you busy while Haku eliminates your students. Once they're dead, your emotional attachment will make you sloppy. You talk too much, Minako said, and suddenly she was gone, teleported in a flash of yellow light. She reappeared behind Zabuza, a Rasengan forming in her palm. Zabuza barely managed to substitute with a water clone before the spiraling sphere of chakra obliterated where he'd been standing. But the momentary distraction was all Kushina needed. Adamantine ceiling chains, prison formation, dozens of golden chains erupted from Kushina's body, moving with a speed and precision that spoke of years of mastery. They wrapped around Zabuza from every angle, binding him in place even as he tried to escape. Impossible, Zabuza grunted, straining against the chains. These chains. I've heard stories, but stories don't do justice to the real thing, Kushina said coldly. Now you're going to call off your companion and end this peacefully, or I'm going to start breaking bones until you do. But before Zabuza could respond, a scream cut through the mist, Naruto's voice, filled with pain. Kushina's head snapped toward the sound, her concentration wavering for just an instant. That instant was all Zabuza needed. He converted his body to water, slipping through the chains like liquid, and retreated back into the mist. Naruto! Kushina's voice was raw with panic as she abandoned pursuit of Zabuza and sprinted toward the ice mirrors. Minako was right beside her, her face set in grim determination. Inside the mirror prison, things had gone from bad to worse. Haku's speed was beyond anything the genin had faced before. Even Sasuke's Sharingan couldn't track him completely, and Saban needles had found their marks on all three of them. Naruto had taken the worst of it, throwing himself in front of Sakura when a volley had been aimed at her. You're brave, Haku's voice came from everywhere at once, soft and sad. But bravery alone won't save you. Please just stay down. I don't want to kill you, but I will if I must. Why? Naruto gasped, pulling Saban from his arm and leg. His healing factor was already working on the wounds, but they still hurt like hell. Why are you doing this? I can hear it in your voice. You don't want to fight us. There was a pause, and for a moment, Haku's movement stilled. Because Zabuza-sama saved me, Haku replied quietly. He gave me purpose when I had none. He made me a tool, a weapon for his use. And a tool that serves no purpose has no value. So I will be the weapon he needs, even if it means taking your lives. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard, Sakura said, and there were tears in her eyes despite the danger. You're not a tool. You're a person with no other purpose, Haku countered. Now, please. Stop struggling. Let me end this quickly. No! The shout came from Naruto, and there was something in his voice, a resonance, a power that made the very air vibrate. His chakra began to flare, red mixing with the blue in a way that made Haku step back in surprise. You're wrong! Naruto continued, his eyes blazing with conviction. Everyone has value. Everyone has a purpose beyond being someone's weapon, and if you can't see that, if that bastard Zabuza made you think you're worthless except as a tool, then I'll beat it into you. Naruto, your chakra, Sasuke started, his Sharingan picking up the strange red chakra that was beginning to leak from Naruto's body. But before anyone could react further, the ice mirrors shattered explosively. Kushina's golden chains tore through them like they were paper, and suddenly both teachers were inside the barrier. That's enough. Kushina's voice was like thunder. Her eyes found Naruto, taking in the red chakra, the whisker marks that seemed darker, the feral look in his eyes. Her face went pale. Naruto, listen to me, Minako said, her voice carefully controlled despite the tension in her body. You need to calm down. Control your chakra, pull it back. But sensei, he was going to, Naruto started. I know, Minako interrupted gently. But look. Your teammates are safe. We're here now. You don't need to draw on that power. That power. Something in the way she said it made Naruto pause. He looked down at his hands and saw the red chakra coating them like flame. It felt wild, furious, powerful, and not entirely his. Gradually, with effort, Naruto pulled the chakra back, forcing it down into whatever deep place it came from. As he did, Kushina visibly relaxed, though her eyes remained fixed on him with an expression that was equal parts concern, recognition, and something that looked almost like guilt. Haku had retreated during the chaos, rejoining Zabuza at the far end of the bridge. Both combatants were breathing hard, realizing that this battle was not going to end in their favor. "We're leaving," Zabuza announced. "Haku, cover our retreat." "But Zabuza-sama, the mission," Haku protested. "Is over," Zabuza cut him off. "I'm not dying for Gato's money, and I'm not letting you die for it either. We'll find other work." "How touching," a new voice called out, dripping with sarcasm and greed. "But I'm afraid neither of you will be finding any work. Dead men don't need employment." Gato appeared at the far end of the bridge, flanked by over 100 thugs and mercenaries, all armed and looking eager for violence. "What is this?" Zabuza demanded, his hand tightening on his blade. "This is me cutting my losses," Gato replied with a cruel smile. "You failed to complete your mission, Zabuza. So now you're a liability. Kill them!" He ordered his men. "Kill Zabuza, kill the bridge builder, kill everyone. And have your fun with those women before you do." He leered in the direction of Kushina and Minako. The smile that spread across Kushina's face at those words was terrifying. "Oh, you really shouldn't have said that." "Agreed," Minako added, and there was ice in her voice that made Gato's hired thugs hesitate. "Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, protect Tazuna and stay out of this." "But sensei," Naruto started. "This is not a request," Kushina interrupted, her violet eyes blazing with barely contained fury. "What we're about to do, you don't need to see it." "Not yet." And with that, both women moved. What followed wasn't a battle, it was a massacre. Minako moved like lightning given human form, her signature technique blazing to life. Yellow flashes marked her passage through Gato's forces, and each flash left behind unconscious or incapacitated thugs. She didn't kill, not in front of her students, but the precision and speed of her attacks were a lesson in what a true master of space-time ninjutsu could do. Kushina, however, was less restrained. Her chains erupted from her body in a forest of gold, each one moving independently, each one seeking out targets with predatory precision. Thugs were wrapped up and slammed into the bridge deck with bone-breaking force. Others were caught mid-charge and hurled off the bridge into the water below. The few who managed to get close enough to attack found their weapons shattered by chains that were harder than steel. "This is for threatening my students," Kushina said, her voice carrying across the bridge despite the chaos. "This is for disrespecting my partner. And this is for being scum who prey on the innocent." Within minutes, Gato's entire force was neutralized. The few who remained conscious were fleeing in terror, and Gato himself had fallen to his knees begging for mercy. "Please! I have money! I can pay you whatever you want," he pleaded. Kushina looked down at him with disgust. "You know what? You're not even worth killing." She grabbed him by his expensive suit and lifted him one-handed. "Tazuna, this is the man who's been oppressing your village, right?" "That's him," Tazuna confirmed, anger in his voice. "Then the people of Wave Country can decide his fate," Kushina declared, dropping Gato at Tazuna's feet. "We're ninja, not judges. But I suspect they'll have a lot to say to you about the misery you've caused." Gato whimpered, and several villagers who had followed Team 7 to the bridge stepped forward with grim determination. Justice, it seemed, would be served. With the immediate threat handled, attention turned back to Zabuza and Haku. Both had watched the display of power with clear recognition that they had been woefully outmatched from the beginning. "You could have done that at any time," Zabuza said flatly. "The moment I attacked, you could have ended it." "Why didn't you?" "Because our students needed to learn," Minako replied simply. "They needed to face real danger, real opponents, real stakes. How else do they grow?" "Using us as training tools," Zabuza said with a bitter laugh. "I suppose I can respect that, at least. It's what I did with Haku." "No," Kushina interrupted sharply. "We used you as an opponent, yes. But we never saw our students as tools. They're people, precious people we're responsible for protecting and teaching. There's a difference." Haku removed his mask slowly, revealing a face that was almost ethereally beautiful, androgynous, and marked with profound sadness. "Then you're better teachers than Zabuza-sama was," he said quietly. "I envy your students." "Haku," Zabuza started, something like pain in his voice. It's alright, Zabuza-sama, Haku said with a gentle smile. I know you cared for me in your way. But they're right. I was a tool to you, nothing more. I've always known that. Naruto stepped forward, ignoring Kushina's warning look. Then stop being a tool, he said earnestly. You're strong, and you're skilled, and you don't have to be anyone's weapon if you don't want to be. Choose your own path. Naruto's right, Sakura added, also stepping forward. We saw how you fought. You didn't want to kill us. You were aiming for non-lethal points the whole time. That's not the behavior of a heartless tool. That's someone who values life. Even Sasuke nodded. Your speed and technique were impressive. You could find work anywhere. You don't need to follow someone who only sees you as a weapon. Haku looked at the three genin with wonder, as if he never considered that someone would argue for his value as a person. Tears began to form in his eyes. He started, but couldn't finish the sentence. Zabuza stepped forward, and for the first time, his expression was open, vulnerable. I was wrong, he said, and the admission seemed to cost him. I told you that you were a tool because it was easier than admitting the truth. Easier than dealing with the fact that he stopped, struggling with emotions he'd suppressed for years. That I cared about you. That the thought of losing you terrified me. So I made you into a tool, because tools can be replaced, but people you can lose. Haku stared at him, speechless. I'm not good at this, Zabuza continued gruffly. I'm a killer, a rogue ninja with a bloody past. But if you'll have me, not as a master and tool, but as partners, then maybe we can find a different path, together. The bridge was silent except for the sound of waves below. Everyone waited to see what Haku would say. Finally, Haku smiled, a real, genuine smile that transformed his face. I would like that, Zabuza-sama. Very much. Just Zabuza, the swordsman corrected. Partners don't use honorifics. Kushina watched this exchange with a complex expression. She exchanged a glance with Minako, and some silent communication passed between them. What will you do now? Minako asked the two rogue ninja. Leave Wave Country, Zabuza replied. Find honest work, if such a thing exists for people like us. Try to be better. Then I have a suggestion, Minako said slowly. Return to Kirigakure. From what I've heard, the Mizukage has been killed and a civil war is brewing. They'll need strong ninja who actually care about more than just power. You could help rebuild. Return to the village that wanted me dead? Zabuza laughed bitterly. That's insane. So was turning a child into a human weapon, Kushina pointed out bluntly. But you're trying to move past that. This is your chance to move past the other mistakes too, to actually make a difference instead of just being another missing mean mercenary. Zabuza was quiet for a long moment. I'll think about it, he finally said. That's all I can promise. That's enough, Minako replied. Now go, before the A and BU tracking teams catch up to your position. You have maybe 3 days head start. Zabuza nodded and turned to leave, Haku beside him. But Haku paused, looking back at Team 7. Thank you, he said softly, for showing me that there was another way. I hope we meet again someday, under better circumstances. We will. Naruto called out with absolute confidence. And next time, let's have ramen together instead of fighting. Haku laughed, a sound of pure, genuine joy, and then he and Zabuza vanished into the mist. The bridge was completed 3 days later, and the people of Wave Country held a massive celebration in honor of Team 7. They named it the Great Naruto Bridge in recognition of the boy who had inspired them to stand up for themselves, to believe that they could have a better future. Naruto had cried when they told him, much to his embarrassment. But Kushina had hugged him tightly, not caring who saw, and whispered, "You deserve this. You deserve to be recognized and celebrated." The words had only made Naruto cry harder. Now, as they prepared to return to Konoha, Kushina asked Naruto to meet her at the edge of the bridge, alone. When he arrived, she was staring out at the ocean, her red hair whipping in the wind. "You wanted to see me, Kushina-sensei?" Naruto asked. "I did," she confirmed, turning to face him. Her expression was serious, almost worried. "Naruto, during the battle with Haku, your chakra changed. It turned red, and you started drawing on a power that isn't entirely yours. Do you know what I'm talking about? Naruto shifted uncomfortably. Yeah? Sometimes, when I get really angry or scared, I feel this other chakra. It's wild and powerful, and it wants to come out. But I don't know what it is. Kushina's violet eyes were intense. Has anyone ever told you about the nine-tailed fox? About what happened 13 years ago. The fourth Hokage defeated it and saved the village, Naruto recited. That's all I know. Why? Kushina's hands clenched. Because that's not the whole story. The Nine Tails wasn't defeated, it can't be killed. It was sealed. Sealed into a newborn baby, who would become its Jinchuriki, its human container. Naruto's eyes widened as understanding began to dawn. Wait, are you saying? You are the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, Naruto, Kushina said gently. The red chakra you felt, that was the fox's power leaking through. You've been carrying it inside you since the day you were born. The world seemed to tilt beneath Naruto's feet. Suddenly, so many things made sense. The hatred from the villagers, the way people looked at him with fear and disgust, the isolation he'd endured his entire life. I'm the monster, he whispered. No! Kushina grabbed his shoulders, her grip almost painful in its intensity. Listen to me, Naruto Uzumaki. You are not a monster. You are a boy, a brave, kind, determined boy who has carried an impossible burden your entire life and remained good despite all the cruelty directed at you. The Nine Tails is the monster. You are its prison, there's a difference. But the villagers, Naruto started, are fools who can't tell the difference between a kunai and the scroll it's sealed in. Kushina interrupted fiercely. You are no more the Nine Tails than a scroll is the weapon it contains. And anyone who can't see that isn't worth your time or grief. Naruto stared at her, seeing the absolute conviction in her eyes, the fierce protectiveness, the anger on his behalf. How do you know so much about it? He asked quietly. Kushina hesitated then sighed. Because I was a Jinchuriki too. In another life, in another timeline, I was the container for the Nine Tails before you. I understand what you're going through, what you've endured, in ways that most people never could. In another life? Naruto echoed, confused. What does that mean? It means... Kushina struggled for words. It means that Minako and I have been experiencing memories that don't belong to us. Memories of a life where we were different people, where we knew you before you were born, where we... She stopped, unable to continue. Where you were my parents, Naruto finished softly, the pieces suddenly falling into place. The dreams he'd been having, the strange sense of familiarity, the way both teachers sometimes looked at him with expressions of love and grief mixed together. Kushina's eyes widened. How did you? I've been having dreams too, Naruto admitted. Dreams of a woman with red hair and a man with blonde hair. Dreams of them holding a baby and saying they're sorry, that they love me, that they wish they could be there for me. I thought they were just dreams, but they're memories, Kushina said, her voice trembling. Somehow, we're all remembering another timeline, another life. One where Minako was Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage. Where I was his wife, Kushina Uzumaki. Where we sealed the Nine Tails into our newborn son and died protecting the village. Tears were streaming down both their faces now. So you really are. Naruto couldn't finish the sentence. I don't know what we are, Kushina admitted. We're not your parents, not in this life. But we have their memories, their feelings, their love for you. And whether it's because of some jutsu, some cosmic accident, or the will of the universe itself, Naruto, I need you to know, you are precious to me. You are so incredibly precious, and I will protect you with everything I have, just as I would have in that other life. Naruto threw himself into her arms, sobbing. Kushina held him tightly, her own tears falling into his blonde hair, and for a moment, they were mother and son, across time, across death, across the boundaries of what should be possible. I've always wanted a family, Naruto gasped between sobs. I've been so alone, and I never understood why, and now, you're not alone anymore, Kushina promised fiercely. Never again. Minako and I, we're here. We're not going anywhere. And we will give you the love and support that you should have had from the beginning. They stayed like that for a long time, wrapped in each other's arms, until finally Naruto pulled back, wiping his eyes. Does Minako-sensei know you're telling me this? He asked. She knows, Kushina confirmed. We discussed it last night. We weren't sure if we should tell you, but after you drew on the Nine-Tails chakra, we realized you needed to understand what's inside you, and you deserve to know about the memories, about why we care so much. What do we do now? Naruto asked. We train, Kushina replied with a fierce smile. We're going to teach you how to control the Nine-Tails chakra, how to use it without being consumed by it. We're going to make sure you're never vulnerable to that power again. And we're going to help you become the strongest ninja you can be, not in spite of being a Jinchuriki, but because of it. And the memories? Naruto asked. The fact that in another life, you and Minako-sensei were my parents? That's complicated, Kushina admitted. We don't know how or why this is happening. But regardless of the explanation, our feelings are real. The love we have for you is real, so we'll figure it out together, as a family. How does that sound? Like the best thing that's ever happened to me, Naruto said, grinning through his tears. Thank you, Kushina-sensei. For telling me. For caring about me. For everything. There's one more thing, Kushina said, her expression becoming serious again. Your biological parents, whoever they were in this timeline, they must have had a reason for sealing the Nine-Tails in you. The fourth Hokage wouldn't have done this to just any child. There's a connection there that we need to investigate. Do you think? Naruto hesitated. Do you think it's the same as the other timeline? That Minako-sensei's past life was the fourth Hokage, and she sealed the Nine-Tails in me? I don't know, Kushina said honestly. But we're going to find out. Together. That evening, Minako found Naruto sitting on the roof of Tazuna's house, staring at the stars. She climbed up silently, and sat beside him. Kushina told you, she said. It wasn't a question. Yeah, Naruto confirmed. About the Nine-Tails. About the memories. About everything. How are you handling it? Minako asked gently. I'm not sure yet, Naruto admitted. It's a lot to process. Finding out I have a demon sealed inside me. Finding out why everyone's always hated me. Finding out that my teachers have memories of being my parents in another life. He laughed shakily. It sounds crazy when I say it out loud. It is crazy, Minako agreed. I'm still not sure I believe it myself, even though I'm experiencing it. But Naruto, I need you to understand something. She turned to face him fully, her blue eyes, so similar to his own, reflecting the starlight. In those memories, in that other life, I loved you more than anything in existence. Sealing the Nine-Tails in you was the hardest thing that Minato, ever had to do. But he did it because he believed in you. He believed that you would become strong enough to control the power, that you would use it to protect people, that you would become the hero he knew you could be. And what do you believe? Naruto asked quietly. I believe the same thing, Minako replied without hesitation. Whether these memories are real or not, whether we have some mystical connection to you from another timeline or not, I have seen who you are, Naruto. I've watched you refuse to give up, refuse to let hatred and loneliness turn you bitter, refuse to abandon your teammates even when it would be easier. I've seen your determination, your courage, your incredible capacity for compassion. And I believe in you completely. Naruto felt fresh tears welling up. I won't let you down, he promised. Either of you. I'll get strong enough to control the Nine-Tails, to protect the village, to make you proud. You already make us proud, Minako said, reaching out to ruffle his hair in a gesture that mirrored Kushina's. Every single day, they sat in comfortable silence for a while, before Naruto spoke again. Minako-sensei? In the other timeline, were you and Kushina-sensei together? Like you are now? Minako smiled softly. Yes. We were married. We loved each other deeply, just as we do in this life. It's one of the things that makes these memories so strange. Some feelings and relationships remain constant across timelines, while others change completely. Do you think? Naruto hesitated. Do you think that's why you and Kushina-sensei found each other in this life too? Like you were meant to be together no matter what? Perhaps, Minako said thoughtfully. There are theories about soulmates, about connections that transcend individual lifetimes. Maybe Kushina and I are proof of that. Maybe our connection to you is the same. I don't have all the answers, Naruto. But I know what I feel is real. I'm glad you found each other, Naruto said sincerely. And I'm glad you both found me. Even if it's weird and complicated and probably breaks about 1,000 natural laws. Minako laughed, a genuine sound of joy. When you put it that way, it does sound rather improbable. But then again, you're the most unpredictable ninja I know. Of course your life would involve impossible circumstances. Hey! Naruto protested, but he was grinning. Naruto, Minako said, her voice becoming serious again. There's something else you need to know. The seal holding the 9 tails. I recognized it. It's the 8 trigram sealing style, a complex technique that only a true master could have created. Whoever your biological parents were in this timeline, at least one of them was an incredibly skilled seal user. Like you? Naruto asked. Possibly, Minako admitted. Or like Kushina. The Uzumaki clan specializes in sealing techniques. It's possible your biological mother was an Uzumaki, which would explain your natural affinity for the clan's techniques and your massive chakra reserves. So I really am an Uzumaki? Naruto's eyes lit up. Not just because of the name, but because of blood. Almost certainly, Minako confirmed. We'll need to do some research, look into village records, but all the signs point to you having strong Uzumaki heritage. Which makes sense. The Uzumaki's natural life force and resilience are exactly what would be needed to contain a tailed beast. Will you help me find out who my real parents were? Naruto asked. Not that it matters as much now, but I'd like to know. To understand where I came from. Of course, Minako promised. When we get back to Konoha, we'll start investigating. The third Hokage might have information he's been withholding to protect you. We'll get answers, Naruto. I promise. The next morning, Team 7 prepared to depart Wave Country. The entire village had turned out to see them off, with Tazuna and his family at the forefront. Thank you, Tazuna said, his voice gruff with emotion. For everything. You didn't just save this bridge, you saved our future. Gave us hope again. It was our honor, Minako replied formally, but her eyes were warm. And Naruto, Tazuna continued, addressing the blonde genin directly. You remember what I said. You're going to be a great ninja someday. The kind of ninja who changes the world. I remember, Naruto said, grinning widely. And I won't forget Wave Country. This is where I learned what it really means to fight for something important. Inari, Tazuna's grandson, ran up and hugged Naruto tightly. You're my hero, big brother Naruto. When I grow up, I want to be brave like you. Naruto hugged him back, remembering the scared, cynical boy he'd first met and seeing the hopeful, determined child he'd become. You're already brave, Inari. You just needed someone to believe in you. Now you gotta believe in yourself. As they finally set off down the road back to Konoha, Sakura walked beside Naruto for the first time voluntarily. That was pretty cool, she said. What you said to Inari, I mean. And I wanted to say thank you. For protecting me during the fight with Haku. Of course, Sakura-chan. Naruto replied enthusiastically. You're my teammate. I'll always protect you. I know, Sakura said, and there was something different in her voice. And I'm sorry I haven't been a very good teammate to you. I've been so focused on Sasuke-kun that I never really saw you. But Kushina-sensei was right. I need to figure out who I am beyond just someone who admires from afar. And part of that is appreciating the teammates I already have. Wow, Sakura-chan. Naruto's eyes were wide. That's really mature. Don't make a big deal out of it, Sakura said, but she was smiling. Even Sasuke seemed different. He walked slightly closer to the group instead of maintaining his usual distance. And when Naruto tripped over a rock and nearly fell, Sasuke caught his arm without comment. Thanks team, Naruto said. HN was Sasuke's only response, but there was no real animosity in it. Minako and Kushina watched their students' interactions with satisfaction. They're growing, Minako observed quietly. In more ways than one, Kushina agreed. This mission was good for them. They faced real danger, saw real consequences, and came through it together. And Naruto. Minako's voice softened. He knows the truth now. About the 9 tails, about us, about everything. Are we doing the right thing? Kushina asked suddenly. Telling him about the memories, acknowledging these feelings we have? What if it confuses him? What if it hurts more than it helps? He deserves the truth, Minako said firmly. He's spent his entire life surrounded by secrets and lies. We owe him honesty, even when that honesty is complicated and strange. You're right, Kushina agreed. And besides, whatever these memories mean, whatever cosmic weirdness is happening, one thing is certain, we love that boy. We love all three of them, but Naruto especially, and he needs to know that he's loved. Agreed, Minako said, her hand finding Kushina's and squeezing gently. We'll figure out the rest as we go. The gates of Konohagakure appeared in the distance after 3 days of travel, and Naruto felt an unexpected surge of affection for the village. Despite all the pain it had caused him, it was still home. And now, with people who cared about him, it felt more like home than it ever had before. Izumo and Kotetsu, the gate guards, waved them through with friendly smiles. Welcome back, Team 7. Izumo called out. How was your first C rank? Got upgraded to an A rank, Kushina replied dryly. But we all survived, so I'm calling it a success. An A rank? Kotetsu's eyes widened. On their first mission out of the village? These things happen, Minako said calmly. We'll file the full report with the Hokage. As they walked through the village streets toward the Hokage Tower, Naruto noticed something different. People were looking at him, really looking at him, and some of them were smiling. Word of the great Naruto bridge must have spread. Is that the Uzumaki kid? He heard someone whisper. I heard he helped save an entire country, named a bridge after him and everything, another voice replied. Maybe we were wrong about him. Naruto's chest swelled with pride and relief. Maybe, just maybe, things were starting to change. The Hokage's office was exactly as Naruto remembered, cluttered with paperwork, smelling of tobacco smoke, and dominated by the gentle presence of Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage. Team 7, Hiruzen greeted them warmly. Welcome back. I received your preliminary report via Messenger Hawk, but I'd like to hear the full details in person. Minako and Kushina took turns explaining the mission, from the deception about its rank to the battles with Zabuza and Haku, Gato's betrayal, and the final resolution. Hiruzen listened intently, his expression growing more grave as the story unfolded. You faced Zabuza Momochi and his companion twice and survived, Hiruzen said when they finished. That speaks highly of your skills as Jonin, Minako, Kushina, and you three. He turned to the genin, survived encounters with A-rank threats and came away with valuable combat experience. You should be proud, Hokage-sama, Kushina said, and her voice had an edge to it that made Hiruzen look up sharply. There's another matter we need to discuss. One that involves Naruto specifically. Hiruzen's eyes flickered to Naruto, then back to Kushina. I see. Perhaps we should speak privately. No, Kushina interrupted. Naruto deserves to be part of this conversation. It concerns him directly. Very well, Hiruzen said slowly, though concern was evident in his expression. What is it you wish to discuss? During the mission, Naruto accessed the Nine Tails chakra, Minako explained. Which means he now knows about his status as a Jinchuriki. And we believe he deserves to know more, about how he became the container, about who made that decision, and about his parentage. Hiruzen was quiet for a long moment, studying Naruto's face. I see. And Naruto, how do you feel about what you've learned? I'm angry, Naruto admitted. That nobody told me. That I've spent my whole life not understanding why people hated me. But I'm relieved to finally know the truth. And I want to know more. I want to know who my parents were, and why they sealed the Nine Tails in me. Hiruzen sighed deeply, suddenly looking every one of his 69 years. Very well. Sasuke, Sakura, you're dismissed. What we're about to discuss is an S-rank village secret. You may not speak of Naruto's status to anyone. Am I understood? Both genin nodded seriously and left the office, though Sakura gave Naruto a supportive squeeze on the shoulder before she went. Once they were gone, Hiruzen activated privacy seals around the office and turned back to Naruto. Your parents, he began slowly, were Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. Minato was the fourth Hokage. What? Naruto's shout interrupted him. He stared at Hiruzen in shock, then turned to look at Minako and Kushina with wide eyes. My parents were, But that means, the memories were real? The memories? Hiruzen looked confused. What memories? Kushina and Minako exchanged glances, and Kushina took a deep breath. Hokage-sama, something strange has been happening. Both Minako and I have been experiencing vivid memories. Memories of lives we never lived. Memories of being Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. Of being married. Of having a son. Of sealing the Nine Tails and dying to protect the village. Hiruzen's pipe nearly fell from his mouth. That's impossible. Minato and Kushina died 13 years ago. You two are in your early 20s. You couldn't be. We know it's impossible, Minako said. But it's happening nonetheless. And now you're telling us that Naruto's parents had the exact same names as the people in our memories, held the exact same positions? That can't be coincidence. No, Hiruzen agreed slowly. It cannot. This is... I need to research this. There are theories about reincarnation, about soul transference, but nothing that would explain this precisely. So it's true? Naruto's voice was barely a whisper. The fourth Hokage was my father? And Kushina Uzumaki, a previous Jinchuriki, was my mother? Yes, Hiruzen confirmed gently. Minato wanted it kept secret to protect you from his enemies. He had made many during the war, and he feared they would target you for revenge. As for Kushina, she was indeed the previous Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, as well as one of the finest kunoichi this village ever produced. And they died sealing the Nine Tails and me, Naruto continued, piecing it together. Because I was a newborn, because I was their son, because... He stopped, emotions overwhelming him. Kushina was immediately at his side, pulling him into a fierce hug. They loved you, she said intensely. I know this because I remember it. I remember holding you for the first and last time, remember telling you how much we loved you, remember hoping with everything I had that you would grow up strong and happy and surrounded by people who cherished you. Her voice broke. And instead you grew up alone and hated, and we weren't there to protect you from it, and I'm so sorry. But you're here now, Naruto interrupted, hugging her back just as fiercely. Both of you. I don't understand how or why, but you're here. And you care about me. That matters more than anything. This is extraordinary, Hiruzen said, watching the scene with wondering eyes. If what you're saying is true, if you two somehow carry the souls or memories of Minato and Kushina, then Naruto truly hasn't lost his parents. Not entirely. We're not his parents, Minako corrected gently. Not in this life. But we carry their love for him, their hopes for him, their desire to protect him. And we will honor that in every way we can. I see, Hiruzen said. Then I suppose I should tell you the rest. Naruto, your father left something for you. A key and instructions to seek out certain information when you were ready. He also left chakra imprints, recordings of himself and your mother within the seal. They can be accessed when you gain enough control over the Nine Tails' power. Chakra imprints? Kushina's eyes widened. Minato actually managed to create stable imprints within a seal? That's incredibly advanced technique. He was a genius, Hiruzen said simply. The greatest Fuinjutsu master of his generation, after Kushina herself. It makes sense that you two, he gestured to Minako and Kushina, would have similar aptitudes. Perhaps that's part of the connection. Perhaps, Minako agreed. Hokage-sama, we'll need access to any records pertaining to the sealing, to Minato and Kushina's techniques, to anything that might help us understand what's happening. If these memories are going to continue, we need to understand them, control them. Agreed, Hiruzen said. I'll arrange access to the restricted archives. But I must ask, do you intend to tell Naruto that you believe yourselves to be his reincarnated parents? We already have, Kushina said. He deserves honesty. And it explains why we've been so protective of him, why we requested to be his instructors, why we're so invested in his success and happiness. Very well, Hiruzen said. Then I suppose we're entering entirely new territory. I'll consult with the village's scholars and sealing experts. Perhaps someone has heard of a phenomenon like this. There's one more thing, Naruto spoke up, and his voice was determined. I want to learn my father's techniques. The Flying Thunder God, the Rasengan, whatever else he developed. They're my heritage, right? So I should learn them. In time, Minako said gently. Those are incredibly advanced techniques, Naruto. Even I'm still mastering the Flying Thunder God. But yes, we'll teach you. Everything your father knew, everything your mother knew, it's yours by right. We'll make sure you learn it all. Thank you, Naruto said, and the gratitude in his voice encompassed so much more than just the promise of training. After the meeting with the Hokage, Team 7 split up to rest and recover from their mission. But that evening, Naruto found himself at Minato and Kushina's apartment, having been invited for dinner. The apartment was cozy and filled with warmth, so different from his own cold, lonely space. Pictures adorned the walls, books filled the shelves, and the kitchen smelled of home-cooked food in a way that made Naruto's heart ache. I hope you like ramen, Kushina said with a grin, setting a steaming bowl in front of him. I figured it was a safe bet. I love ramen, Naruto exclaimed. But Kushina-sensei, did you make this from scratch? Of course, Kushina replied. She stopped, catching herself. The other Kushina's recipes. I remember them all. Cooking was something she enjoyed. The slip was telling, and it hung in the air for a moment before Minako spoke. We've been talking, she said, sitting down at the table with her own bowl. About what these memories mean, about our relationship with you, about how to move forward. And we've decided, Kushina continued, that we're not going to try to replace your parents. We can't be Minato and Kushina Uzumaki, because we're Minako Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki of this timeline. We have our own lives, our own identities. But Minako added, we also can't ignore these feelings, these memories, this connection we have to you. So we're going to forge something new. Not quite parents and child, not just teachers and student, but something in between. Family, but of a type that's uniquely ours. I'd like that, Naruto said softly. I'd like that a lot. Can I call you by your names? Without the sensei sometimes? When we're not training? Of course, Kushina said, reaching across to ruffle his hair. Though we're still your instructors when it comes to ninja training. We can't play favorites, Databane. I wouldn't want you to, Naruto assured her. But this, having a place I can come to, people I can talk to, people who actually care, it means everything. They ate together, talking and laughing, and for the first time in his life, Naruto understood what a family dinner felt like. It was warm and comfortable and right in a way that nothing else had ever been. There's something else we need to discuss, Minako said as they cleaned up after dinner. Your training is going to intensify. Now that you know about the Nine Tails, we can begin teaching you how to access its chakra safely, how to use it without being consumed. But that's dangerous, isn't it? Naruto asked. Earlier, when I used its chakra, I felt like I was losing myself. It is dangerous, Kushina confirmed. But it's also your birthright and your burden. The Nine Tails is part of you, whether you like it or not. Learning to work with it, to draw on its power while maintaining control. That's what will make you truly strong. I remember, Minako started, then corrected herself. Minato believed that you would one day master the Nine Tails completely, that you would be able to use its power as if it were your own. That's the goal we're working toward. Then let's do it, Naruto said with determination. I'm not afraid. Not with you two helping me. That's our boy, Kushina said, and the words slipped out naturally, without thought. They all paused, recognizing the significance. Your boy? Naruto asked quietly. Yes, Kushina said, meeting his eyes directly. Whether by blood, by memory, or by choice, you're ours, Naruto. And we're yours. That's the truth we're choosing to embrace. Then I'm the luckiest person in the world, Naruto said, grinning through tears. Because I get a second chance at having parents, even if it's the weirdest second chance ever. They laughed together, and the sound was full of joy and hope and the promise of a future that was brighter than any of them had dared to imagine. The next few months flew by in a blur of intense training. Naruto's skills grew exponentially under Minako and Kushina's tutelage. He learned the basics of Fuinjutsu, began to understand the theory behind his father's techniques, and started the long process of learning to access the Nine Tails chakra safely. Sakura blossomed under Kushina's strict regimen, her taijutsu improving dramatically and her medical ninjutsu studies progressing rapidly. She was also becoming more confident in herself, less focused on Sasuke's approval and more on her own growth. Even Sasuke showed improvement, though his obsession with revenge remained a concern. Minako worked with him on advanced Sharingan techniques and helped him develop his own fighting style rather than just copying others. And through it all, the bond between Team 7 grew stronger. They were becoming a true team, a family unit that supported and challenged each other in equal measure. Then came the announcement. The Chunin exams were being held in Konoha, and Team 7 had been nominated to participate. Already? Sakura gasped when Kushina told them. But we've only been genin for a few months. You're ready, Minako said confidently. You've faced A-rank threats and survived. You've grown immensely in skill and teamwork, and the Chunin exams will be a valuable experience regardless of whether you pass. What do you think, Naruto? Sasuke asked, surprising everyone. He'd been making more effort to include Naruto in decisions lately. I think we should do it, Naruto exclaimed. This is our chance to show everyone what Team 7 can do. And besides, we've got the best teachers in the village. How can we lose? Confidence is good, Kushina said with a grin. Overconfidence will get you killed. But you're not wrong, we have prepared you well. Just remember, the exams are as much about judgment and strategy as they are about combat skill. Use your heads. There will be teams from other villages participating, Minako added. This is a diplomatic event as well as an examination. You'll be representing Konoha. That means being on your best behavior. Even Naruto? Sasuke asked dryly. Especially Naruto, Minako confirmed, though her eyes were twinkling. Though I have faith he'll surprise us all. I'll make you proud, Naruto promised. I'll show everyone that Team 7 is the best team in any village. That's the spirit, Kushina said. Now we have 2 weeks before the exams begin. We're going to train harder than ever before. Each of you has weaknesses we need to shore up and strengths we need to enhance. Are you ready? Yes. All 3 genin shouted in unison. As they began their intensive preparation, Naruto found himself thinking about how much had changed. Just months ago, he'd been alone, hated, with no one who truly believed in him. Now he had teammates, friends, and 2 people who loved him in a way that transcended normal teacher-student relationships. He had family. And he was going to make them proud. Late that night, after training had ended and the students had gone home, Minako and Kushina sat together in their apartment, discussing the upcoming exams. We're taking a risk, Minako said, sipping her tea. The Chunin exams attract attention. People will be watching Naruto closely, especially once they see his abilities. Let them watch, Kushina replied fiercely. He's not alone anymore. Anyone who tries to harm him will have to go through us. I know, Minako said. But I worry about other villages learning about the Nine Tails. Jinchuriki are targets, Kushina. You know that better than anyone. Which is why we've been training him to control the power, Kushina countered. By the time anyone figures out what he is, he'll be strong enough to defend himself. Minako nodded, but concern still clouded her features. There's something else. These memories, they're getting stronger, more detailed. Sometimes I'm not sure where Minako ends and Minato begins. Are you experiencing the same thing? Yes, Kushina admitted. Yesterday, I called Naruto my son without thinking. He didn't notice, but it's getting harder to maintain the separation. The love I feel for him, it's overwhelming. It's maternal in a way that goes beyond normal teacher-student bonds. I feel it too, Minako said softly. And it terrifies me. What if we lose ourselves to these memories? What if we stop being who we are now and become something else entirely? Then we hold on to each other, Kushina said firmly, taking Minako's hand. We anchor each other in this reality, in this life. Because whatever else is true, our love for each other is real. It's ours, not borrowed from another timeline. You're right, Minako agreed, squeezing Kushina's hand. And our love for Naruto, for all our students, that's real too. We're not living someone else's life. We're living ours, informed by memories that may be impossible, but choosing our own path forward. Speaking of which, Kushina said, her expression becoming more serious, I found something in the archives today. A reference to a phenomenon called soul resonance. It's incredibly rare, but supposedly it can occur when souls from different timelines interact, usually during moments of great trauma or powerful jutsu, like the sealing of a tailed beast. Minako suggested. Exactly, Kushina confirmed. The theory is that the original Minato and Kushina's souls, in the moment of the sealing, somehow impressed themselves onto the fabric of reality. And when we, their counterparts in this timeline, came into close contact with Naruto, that impression activated, transferring their memories and emotions to us. That's... Minako struggled for words. That's actually plausible. Insane, but plausible. It would explain everything, Kushina said. Why the memories started when we met Naruto, why they're centered around him, why they're getting stronger as our bond with him deepens. It also means this isn't temporary, Minako realized. These memories, these feelings, they're permanent. We're going to carry them for the rest of our lives. Is that a problem? Kushina asked. Minako was quiet for a moment, then smiled. No. I don't think it is. Because those memories, that love, they're a gift. They let us give Naruto what he was denied, parental love and guidance. They make us better teachers, better protectors. And they brought us together in this life, just as they did in another. I love you, Kushina said suddenly. I need you to know that. Whatever else is complicated or confusing, my love for you is simple and clear. I love you too, Minako replied, leaning in to kiss her gently. Always have, always will. Across any timeline, in any life. They held each other as the night deepened around them, two souls connected by love that transcended the boundaries of possibility, preparing to guide a boy who carried the weight of destiny on his young shoulders. In his own apartment, Naruto lay in bed, staring at the ceiling and thinking about everything that had happened. He'd gone from having no family to having the strangest family in the history of the ninja world. Two teachers who carried the memories of being his parents in another life, teaching him, protecting him, loving him in ways both familiar and new. It should have been confusing. It should have been overwhelming. But somehow, it felt right. As he drifted off to sleep, Naruto's dreams were filled with images of red and gold, chains and lightning, a woman's laughter and a man's proud smile, and the unshakable certainty that he was loved, protected, and never alone. The Chunin exams were coming. New challenges, new dangers, new opportunities awaited. But Naruto Uzumaki faced them with something he never had before. A family standing behind him, ready to catch him if he fell and celebrate with him when he soared. The crimson threads of fate had woven together in ways that defied explanation, connecting three souls across time and impossibility. And that connection, strange as it was, would become the foundation for something extraordinary. The academy classroom buzzed with tension and anticipation. Dozens of genin from various villages filled the seats, each team sizing up their competition. The air was thick with competitive energy, hidden hostility, and barely concealed anxiety. Naruto sat between Sasuke and Sakura, his eyes scanning the room with newfound tactical awareness. Kushina and Minako's training had taught him to observe, to analyze, to think before acting. He noted the Sand siblings in the corner, particularly the red-haired boy with the gourd and the word love tattooed on his forehead. Something about him made Naruto's skin crawl, made the Nine-Tails chakra stir uneasily within its seal. That's Gaara of the Sand, Sasuke murmured, his Sharingan briefly activating. Be careful around him. There's something wrong about his chakra. I feel it too, Sakura whispered. It's similar to what I sensed from Naruto when he drew on the Nine-Tails power, but darker somehow. More malevolent. Naruto's eyes widened as understanding dawned. He's like me. He's a Jinchuriki. Before they could discuss further, the door slammed open and Ibiki Marino entered, a scarred, intimidating man who radiated menace like heat from a forge. Sit down and shut up. His voice cut through the chatter like a blade. I am Ibiki Marino, your proctor for the first exam. And you maggots are about to learn what it really means to be a Chunin. He explained the rules with brutal efficiency. A written test, but one where the 10th question wouldn't be revealed until the end. Lose all your points through cheating badly, and your entire team fails. Get caught cheating 5 times, same result. And the 10th question would have consequences that could end their ninja careers permanently. As the test papers were distributed, Naruto stared at the questions with growing horror. They were impossibly difficult, cryptography, advanced tactics, questions that would challenge a Jonin, let alone a Genin. This is a test of information gathering, he realized, remembering Minako's lessons on the true nature of Chunin duties. We're supposed to cheat, but without getting caught. It's about espionage skills. He glanced around subtly. Sasuke was using his Sharingan to copy answers from a smarter student. Sakura was actually answering the questions legitimately. Her intelligence was easily up to the task. But Naruto himself had no special sensing abilities, no bloodline limit, nothing that would help him gather information without being obvious. Or did he? A slow smile spread across Naruto's face as an idea formed. He created a single shadow clone under the desk, maintaining it with the absolute minimum chakra necessary. The clone transformed into a fly, a trick Kushina had taught him for reconnaissance, and buzzed quietly to land on the paper of a chunin plant in the room, memorizing answers. When the clone dispelled, the information flooded back to Naruto. He began writing carefully, making sure to include a few deliberate errors so his sudden competence wouldn't be suspicious. Kushina and Minato would be proud, he thought with satisfaction. The minutes ticked by with agonizing slowness. Several teams were caught cheating poorly and eliminated, their protests ignored by the merciless proctors. The pressure mounted, the anxiety in the room becoming almost palpable. Finally, Ibiki called time on the first 9 questions. Now, he said, his scarred face splitting into a sadistic grin, for the 10th question. But first, you must choose, attempt the question, or withdraw now. If you withdraw, you fail but can retake the exam next time. If you stay and answer incorrectly, you will be barred from ever taking the chunin exams again. You will remain genin forever. The room erupted in protests and panic. That's not fair, someone shouted. You can't make that kind of rule. I just did, Ibiki replied coldly. Life isn't fair. Ninja missions aren't fair. Sometimes you'll face choices where failure means death, or worse. This is a taste of that reality. Now choose. Hands began to rise as teams opted out, their dreams of advancement crushed by fear. Naruto's hand twitched, his heart pounding. Forever a genin? Never able to advance, never able to achieve his dream of becoming Hokage? What would my parents do? He wondered, and instantly the memories came, not his own, but ones he'd inherited through Kushina and Minako's stories. Minato facing impossible odds during the war, never backing down. Kushina refusing to give in to the Ninetales even as it tried to consume her. They would face the fear. They would take the risk. Naruto's hand slammed down on his desk with enough force to make everyone jump. I'm not quitting, he declared loudly. I don't care if I'm stuck as a genin forever. I'll become Hokage anyway, even if I have to do it as a genin. That's my ninja way. The silence that followed was absolute. Then, slowly, the other teams who had been wavering found their courage. If this loudmouth blonde could face the risk, so could they. Ibiki looked at Naruto with something that might have been approval, then let his gaze sweep the room. Final chance, he said. Anyone else want to quit? No hands rose. Very well, Ibiki said, and his expression shifted completely, the sadistic mask falling away to reveal genuine respect. Then you all pass. What? The room exploded in confusion. There was no 10th question, Ibiki explained. This entire exam was about courage in the face of uncertainty. About making the hard choice when failure means devastating consequences. Information gathering means nothing if you're too afraid to act on it. A chunin must be willing to accept missions even when success is uncertain, even when the stakes are impossibly high. You all demonstrated that courage. Congratulations. Naruto slumped in his seat, relief flooding through him. He'd passed. They'd all passed. I did it, he thought. Kushina, Minako, I did it. Before anyone could celebrate properly, the window exploded inward in a shower of glass and a banner unfurled, revealing a woman with purple hair and an absolutely manic grin. All right, babies. No time to celebrate. I'm Anko Mitarashi, your proctor for the second exam, and if you thought the first test was hard, you're in for a nasty surprise. Follow me to Training Ground 44, the Forest of Death. Training Ground 44 loomed before them, a massive forest surrounded by chain-link fencing topped with barbed wire. Even from outside, the atmosphere was oppressive, threatening, alive with danger. Welcome to the Forest of Death, Anko announced with disturbing enthusiasm. For the next 5 days this will be your home, your battlefield, and possibly your grave. The rules are simple: survive, and reach the tower in the center with both an Earth Scroll and a Heaven Scroll. You'll each be given one, Earth or Heaven, and you'll need to take the other from another team. Wait, Sakura said, raising her hand. Doesn't that mean half the teams will automatically fail? Since there are equal numbers of each scroll? Smart girl. Anko cackled. Yes. At least half of you will fail, maybe more if you get killed by the giant tigers, the poisonous plants, the other teams, or the various other things in there that want to eat you. Any questions? Naruto's hand shot up. Are there really giant tigers? Oh honey, Anko's grin widened. The tigers are the least of your worries. After signing the liability waivers, which included clauses about death, dismemberment, and permanent psychological damage, each team received their scroll and was assigned an entrance gate. Team 7 gathered in a huddle before entering their gate. Okay, Sakura said, her tactical mind already working. We have the Heaven Scroll. We need to find a team with an Earth Scroll, defeat them, and then make our way to the tower. The forest is huge, so we need a strategy. We should move fast and strike hard, Sasuke suggested. Take out a weak team early, get the scroll, then focus on surviving until we reach the tower. Or, Naruto countered, remembering Minako's lessons on alternative thinking, we could let other teams fight each other first. Let them thin their own numbers, tire themselves out, then take a scroll from whoever's left standing. Both Sasuke and Sakura looked at him in surprise. What? Naruto said defensively. I can think tactically. Kushina and Minako have been drilling it into me for months. That's actually not a bad idea, Sakura admitted. But we need a way to track teams without exposing ourselves. I can do that, Naruto said with confidence. Shadow clones are perfect for reconnaissance. I'll scatter them through the forest while we move toward the center. They'll dispel if they find anything interesting and we'll get the information instantly. Since when are you this competent? Sasuke asked, though there was no insult in his tone, just genuine curiosity. Since I started actually trying, Naruto replied with a grin. Believe it! The gate opened, and Team 7 plunged into the forest of death. The forest was unlike anything they'd experienced. The trees were massive, blocking out most of the sunlight, and creating a perpetual twilight. Strange sounds echoed through the undergrowth, animal calls, insect buzzing, and occasionally something that might have been a scream. Naruto had created 50 shadow clones, sending them spreading out in all directions while the real Team 7 moved cautiously toward the center. His clones were under orders to avoid confrontation and simply observe and report. They'd been moving for about 2 hours when the first clone dispelled, sending back information about a team from rain being ambushed by a team from grass. Naruto relayed the information to his teammates. That's in Quadrant 7, Sakura said, consulting the map they'd been given. About 2 kilometers northwest of our position. We could, she never finished the sentence. A massive snake burst from the undergrowth, its jaws wide enough to swallow a horse. The team scattered, Sasuke's Sharingan spinning as he tracked the creature's movements. Fire style, fireball jutsu. Sasuke's flames engulfed the snake, but it barely seemed to notice, its scales too thick to be penetrated by fire alone. Naruto, Sasuke, simultaneous attack! Sakura called out, coordinating them. Naruto high, Sasuke low, I'll support. They moved in perfect synchronization, months of training with Minako and Kushina allowing them to work as a seamless unit. Naruto's Rasengan, still imperfect but functional, struck the snake's head while Sasuke's Chidori pierced its underbelly. The combined attack was enough. The snake collapsed, dead. That was close, Sakura breathed. But we worked well together. Yeah. Naruto agreed. Team 7 is, he stopped, his eyes going wide. A presence had appeared, someone whose chakra was so cold, so malevolent, that it made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. A figure emerged from the trees, a woman from Grass Village, but something about her was wrong. Her eyes were wrong, predatory and ancient. And her chakra. Run, Naruto said quietly, and even he couldn't believe the fear in his voice. Run now, they ran. The woman, if it even was a woman, pursued them with inhuman speed, laughing in a voice that sent chills down their spines. This wasn't a genin. This wasn't even a jonin. This was something else entirely. Something that wore human skin like a costume. What is that thing? Sakura gasped as they leaped through the trees. Something way out of our league, Sasuke replied, his Sharingan spinning frantically as he tried to find an escape route. The creature was toying with them, Naruto realized. It could catch them any time it wanted, but it was enjoying their fear. I won't let it hurt my teammates, Naruto thought fiercely. The Nine-Tails chakra began to rise, responding to his protective instincts. No, Naruto! Sasuke shouted, somehow sensing what was happening. Don't lose control. That's what it wants. But before Naruto could respond, the creature struck. Its neck extended impossibly long, its face transforming into something serpentine and horrible, and it bit down on Sasuke's shoulder, leaving a strange mark. Sasuke screamed and collapsed. Sasuke! Sakura and Naruto shouted simultaneously. The creature laughed again, its voice like nails on a chalkboard. A gift, it hissed. The curse mark. Let's see if the last Uchiha is strong enough to survive it. As for you two. Its gaze fell on Naruto, and recognition flickered in those inhuman eyes. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. How delicious. I'll save you for later. And then it was gone, vanishing as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving Team 7 broken and terrified. Sasuke was unconscious, fever burning through him as the curse marks spread across his body. Sakura was doing her best to treat him with the medical techniques Kushina had taught her, but it was clear this was beyond her current abilities. Naruto stood watch, every sense on high alert, the Nine-Tails chakra simmering just beneath the surface. That thing, whatever it was, had hurt his teammate, had marked Sasuke with something dark and twisted. I should have been stronger, Naruto berated himself. I should have protected them. It's not your fault, Sakura said quietly, sensing his thoughts. That thing, it was Jonin level at minimum, maybe higher. We never stood a chance. We're supposed to be getting stronger, Naruto replied, his hands clenched into fists. But we're still just kids playing at being ninja. When real threats appear, we can't do anything. That's not true, Sakura argued. We survived. We protected each other. And we'll get through this together. But Naruto barely heard her. His mind was spinning, processing, analyzing. That creature had known what he was. It had called him the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. That meant it had access to classified Konoha information. Which meant, it's a traitor, Naruto said aloud. Someone from Konoha working with our enemies. Or someone who infiltrated the village. We need to tell someone, we need to survive first, Sakura interrupted. Look, 3 sound ninja had appeared, drawn by the commotion. They looked at the weakened Team 7 with predatory grins. Well, the leader said. Looks like someone already did most of our work for us. Hand over your scroll and we'll make this quick. Not happening, Naruto growled, stepping in front of his teammates protectively. Your funeral, kid, the sound ninja shrugged, and attacked. The battle was brutal and desperate. Naruto fought with everything he had, his shadow clones swarming the enemy, but he was exhausted from the encounter with the creature, and these sound ninja were skilled. They pushed him back, broke through his defenses, and one of them was moving toward Sakura. That's when Sasuke woke up. But it wasn't Sasuke. Not really. His eyes were wild, the curse marks spreading across his body in black flames, and his chakra had taken on a dark, corrupted quality that made even Naruto step back. What followed was horrifying. Sasuke moved with savage brutality, breaking bones, tearing flesh, showing no mercy. The sound ninja didn't stand a chance. When it was over, all 3 were unconscious or worse, and Sasuke was standing over them, breathing hard, the curse mark still active. Sasuke, Naruto said carefully, approaching slowly. It's okay. They're beaten. You can stop now. Sasuke's head snapped toward him, and for a moment, Naruto saw no recognition in those eyes. Then, gradually, the curse mark receded, and Sasuke collapsed again, unconscious. We need to get to the tower, Sakura said, her voice shaking. Now. Before something else happens. They took the earth scroll from the defeated sound ninja and began making their way toward the center of the forest, Naruto carrying Sasuke on his back. But they weren't alone. From the shadows, golden eyes watched them with interest. They made it to the tower with 6 hours to spare, more through luck and desperation than skill. The moment they entered, medical ninjas surrounded them, taking Sasuke away on a stretcher while Sakura explained what had happened. And then Kushina and Minako were there, and the relief Naruto felt at seeing them was so overwhelming he nearly collapsed. "You're hurt," Kushina said immediately, her hands glowing green with medical chakra as she examined Naruto. Bruised ribs, chakra exhaustion, several minor cuts, and what the hell happened out there? "We were attacked," Naruto explained, the words tumbling out. "First by a giant snake, then by this thing. It wasn't human, not really. It bit Sasuke, left some kind of mark on him, and it knew about me, about the Nine Tails. It called me the Jinchuriki." Kushina and Minako exchanged a look that Naruto couldn't decipher. "Describe this creature," Minako said, her voice tight with controlled anger. Naruto did his best, describing the elongated neck, the serpentine features, the overwhelming malevolent presence. As he spoke, he saw Kushina's expression grow darker and darker. "Orochimaru," she spat the name like a curse. "That snake bastard is in the village. You know who it was?" Sakura asked, joining them after being treated herself. "Orochimaru is a missing nin from Konoha," Minako explained, her voice grim. "One of the legendary Sannin, and one of the most dangerous individuals alive. He's obsessed with immortality and forbidden jutsu. If he's here," if he marked Sasuke, "he's after the Sharingan," Kushina finished. "He wants Sasuke's body for his sick experiments. We have to tell the Hokage," Sakura said immediately. "We will," Minako assured her. "But first, we need to make sure you're all safe. The exam is suspended for Team 7. You've done enough." "No!" Naruto protested. "We made it to the tower. We passed the second exam. You can't disqualify us now." "Naruto," Kushina started. "We worked too hard for this." Naruto continued. "Sasuke fought through that cursed thing to protect us. Sakura kept us alive with her medical skills. And I finally got to use everything you two taught me. We earned this. You can't take it away because something unexpected happened." Kushina looked at him for a long moment, then sighed. "You're right," she admitted. "And honestly, you handled yourselves better than most Chunin would have in that situation. But Naruto, that mark on Sasuke, it's dangerous. It's going to change him, corrupt him if he's not careful. You and Sakura need to watch him closely." "We will," Naruto promised. "We're Team 7. We look out for each other." "That's what I wanted to hear," Kushina said, and pulled him into a fierce hug. "I'm proud of you, Gaki. You did good." Naruto hugged her back, feeling the maternal warmth he'd come to cherish, the safety of her presence. When they separated, Minako was there too, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Your father would be proud too," she said quietly. "The way you protected your teammates, the way you thought tactically instead of just charging in, that's the mark of a true shinobi." "Thanks," Naruto said, grinning through his exhaustion. "I had good teachers." 3 days later, all the remaining teams were gathered in the tower's arena for an announcement. Too many teams had passed the second exam, which meant preliminary rounds would be necessary to reduce the numbers for the final tournament. Sasuke was awake but different. The curse mark had been sealed by Kakashi, who had mysteriously appeared just for that purpose before vanishing again, but its influence lingered. Naruto could see it in the way Sasuke's eyes occasionally flickered with dark interest when watching strong opponents, in the way he seemed more aggressive, less controlled. "The preliminary matches will be one-on-one battles," Hate Gecko, the sickly-looking proctor, announced. "Winners advance to the finals. Losers go home. If you're injured or feel you can't continue, withdraw now." Several people did withdraw, including Kabuto Yakushi, whose overly helpful demeanor had always struck Naruto as suspicious. "The first match will be selected randomly," Hate continued, gesturing to the electronic board. Names flickered across it before stopping on 2. Sasuke Uchiha vs. Yoro Ikado. Sasuke descended to the arena floor without hesitation. His opponent was a sound ninja, one of the genin who had attacked them in the forest on Orochimaru's orders. The battle was quick and brutal. Sasuke's Sharingan, combined with the speed he'd gained from Minako's training, made him almost untouchable. But there were moments when the curse mark flickered to life, when Sasuke's attacks became unnecessarily vicious, when he seemed to enjoy causing pain. "He's changing," Sakura whispered to Naruto. That mark is doing something to him. We'll help him through it, Naruto replied with determination. Just like he'd help us. Sasuke won decisively, and the next match was called Zakuabumi vs Shino Aburame. As the battles continued, Naruto watched and learned cataloging techniques, noting weaknesses, remembering everything Minato and Kushina had taught him about observation and analysis. Then his name appeared. Naruto Uzumaki vs Kiba Inuzuka. Naruto descended to the arena with a grin. Kiba and his dog Akamaru were strong, but Naruto had a few tricks up his sleeve. I'm going to wipe the floor with you, dead last. Kiba taunted. Right, Akamaru? Woof. The dog agreed. We'll see about that, Naruto replied, and his grin widened. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 50 Narutos filled the arena. Kiba's confident expression faltered. That's a lot of clones, he muttered. Kushina-sensei taught me that overwhelming force is a perfectly valid tactic. Naruto announced. Now, get him. The battle was chaotic and one-sided. Kiba's enhanced sense of smell was useless when surrounded by dozens of identical Narutos, all with the same scent. His attempts at using Fang over Fang were countered by clones simply forming walls of bodies to absorb the impact. Within minutes, Kiba was exhausted and overwhelmed. I give up! He finally shouted. This is impossible. The crowd was silent for a moment, then erupted in cheers. Naruto had won his first preliminary match decisively, showcasing both the power of his signature jutsu and the tactical thinking he'd developed. As Naruto climbed back up to where his team stood, he caught sight of Gaara watching him with cold, murderous interest. The red-haired Jinchuriki's expression sent chills down Naruto's spine. He's like me, but broken, Naruto realized. He's what I could have become if I didn't have Kushina and Minato, if I didn't have Team 7. He's alone in his darkness. The thought filled Naruto with sadness and determination. Somehow, someway, he would reach that boy. He would show him that Jinchuriki didn't have to be monsters, that they could have bonds, that they could be loved. But first, he had to survive the rest of the preliminaries. Sakura descended to the arena with her jaw set in determination. Ino had been her best friend once, before boys and competition had driven them apart. Now they faced each other as rivals. I'm not going to hold back, forehead, Ino called out. Good, Sakura replied. Because I won't either, Ino pig. The battle began, and it immediately became clear that both girls had grown significantly since the academy. Ino's mind transfer jutsu was faster and more precise. But Sakura had something she hadn't before, real combat training under Kushina Uzumaki. When Ino tried to use her signature technique, Sakura deliberately created an opening, letting Ino think she had a clear shot. The moment Ino's consciousness entered Sakura's body, Sakura's inner self, strengthened by months of building confidence and self-awareness, fought back. The mental battle was intense, playing out in seconds that felt like hours. But Sakura had faced her insecurities, had built herself into someone stronger, someone who knew her value beyond just being someone's admirer. She won the mental struggle, forcing Ino's consciousness back into her own body. While Ino was disoriented, Sakura closed the distance and knocked her out with a perfectly executed punch, something she'd learned from Kushina's taijutsu training. The audience was shocked. Sakura Haruno, the girl who had been written off as the weak link of Team 7, had won decisively against a more experienced opponent. Yes! Naruto cheered from the stands. That's my teammate. Sakura-chan is amazing. Even Sasuke nodded in approval. She's improved. When Sakura rejoined them, she was beaming with pride and relief. I did it, she said, almost disbelieving. I actually won. Of course you did, Naruto said warmly. You've been working your butt off for months. Kushina-sensei said you're one of the hardest training students she's ever had. Really? Sakura asked, hope and gratitude in her eyes. Really? Kushina's voice came from behind them. She'd appeared silently, Minato beside her. You fought smart, Sakura. You used your opponent's expectations against them and capitalized on the opening perfectly. That's Chunin-level tactical thinking. All three of you have done well, Minato added. You've all advanced to the finals. We're proud of you. The warmth of their praise filled all three genin with renewed determination. They'd made it through the preliminaries. Now came the real challenge, the the finals, held in front of the entire village and visiting dignitaries from other nations. But as the remaining matches concluded, Naruto noticed something troubling. Gaara's match had been horrifying. He'd crushed his opponent with sand, nearly killing him before the proctors could intervene. And the way Gaara had looked while doing it, the satisfaction in his eyes. That could have been me, Naruto murmured to himself. If I'd stayed alone, if no one had ever cared. But you're not alone, Kushina said softly, having overheard him. And you never will be again. That's what makes all the difference. The month between the preliminaries and the finals was intense. Each finalist was assigned a Jonin instructor to prepare them. But Team 7 had the advantage of already having 2 exceptional teachers who knew their strengths and weaknesses intimately. For Naruto, the training focused on 2 things: perfecting his Rasengan and beginning to properly access the Nine-Tails chakra. They trained in a secluded area outside the village, away from prying eyes. The Rasengan was your father's signature technique, Minako explained, holding a perfect spiraling sphere of chakra in her palm. He developed it over 3 years, intending it to be the ultimate shape manipulation technique. You've managed to create an imperfect version through sheer determination and massive chakra reserves. But now we're going to teach you to do it properly. It requires 3 steps, Kushina continued. Rotation, power, and containment. You've got the first 2 down, but you're struggling with maintaining the sphere's stability. That's what we're going to work on. Day after day, Naruto practiced. His hands were covered in blisters that healed rapidly thanks to his Uzumaki heritage and the Nine-Tails influence. Slowly, painfully, the technique began to stabilize. But the real challenge came when they began training him to access the Nine-Tails chakra safely. We're going into your mindscape, Kushina explained. Into the seal itself. It's time you met your tenant face to face. Is that safe? Naruto asked nervously. With both of us here? Yes, Minako assured him. We won't let the Nine-Tails harm you. But you need to establish a relationship with it, need to understand what you're dealing with. Otherwise, you'll always be fighting against your own power. They sat in a triangle, their hands forming a seal together, and Naruto felt his consciousness being pulled inward, down into the depths of his own mind. The seal chamber was vast, dimly lit, and dominated by an enormous cage. Behind the bars, 2 massive red eyes opened, each one larger than Naruto's entire body. So, a voice rumbled, ancient and malevolent, the jailer finally comes to visit. And you bring interesting companions. The Nine-Tails leaned forward, and Naruto could now see its full form, a massive fox with 9 tails, each one powerful enough to level mountains. You, the fox said, focusing on Kushina. I know you. Or rather, I knew someone like you. The chains that bound me, the woman who housed me before this brat. You carry her echo. I carry her memories, Kushina replied calmly. And I remember you, Kurama. I remember everything about our relationship. Kurama? Naruto asked. That's its name? That's my name, brat, the Nine-Tails, Kurama, growled. Though few humans ever bothered to learn it. They only saw me as a monster, a weapon, a calamity to be feared and sealed away. That's because you attacked the village, Naruto pointed out. You killed lots of people, including, he stopped, the realization hitting him. Including my parents. You're the reason they died, am I? Kurama's voice dripped with bitter amusement. Or was I a tool used by someone else? Someone with a Sharingan who controlled me, who forced me to attack. Have you considered that, brat? Naruto froze. Controlled? Someone controlled you? The night of your birth, Minako spoke up, her voice heavy with remembered knowledge. Someone attacked your mother right after you were born, when the seal was at its weakest. They released the Nine-Tails and used a powerful genjutsu to control it, to force it to attack the village. The 4th Hokage, your father, broke that control, but by then the damage was done. Minato Namikaze, Kurama said, and there was grudging respect in his voice. The only human fast enough to keep up with me. The one who sealed me into this brat. And you carry his echo as well. I'm not an echo, Minako replied firmly. I'm my own person, carrying his memories and skills but living my own life. Just as Kushina is. Interesting, Kurama mused. Very interesting. Tell me, brat, why have you come before me? Because I need to understand you, Naruto said, finding his courage. Because you're part of me, whether I like it or not. And because I refuse to fight against my own power. So I want to make a deal with you. A deal? Kurama's laugh was like thunder. You, a mere child, want to make a deal with me? You have nothing I want. I can give you freedom, Naruto replied. Not from the seal. I know that's not possible yet. But freedom from being ignored, from being treated like just a battery for my power. I'll acknowledge you, talk to you, treat you like a person instead of a monster. In exchange, you lend me your power when I need it, and you don't try to take control of me. Kurama was silent for a long moment, studying Naruto with those ancient eyes. You are either very brave or very stupid, the fox finally said. Probably both. But you remind me of your father. He was also willing to see me as more than just a mindless beast. And you, he focused on Kushina, you have the same annoying determination as my previous jailer. She never gave up on believing I could be reasoned with. So? Naruto pressed. Do we have a deal? We have a tentative agreement, Kurama aloud. I will lend you power when you truly need it, and I will not attempt to overwhelm your mind. In return, you will acknowledge me, speak with me, and perhaps, eventually, we might become something more than jailer and prisoner. It's a start, Naruto said, grinning. Thanks, Kurama. Don't thank me yet, brat, Kurama replied. You'll find my power is not easy to control. But I suppose it will be interesting to see what you do with it. When Naruto's consciousness returned to his body, he was grinning widely. I did it. I made a deal with the Nine Tails. With Kurama. Kurama, Kushina repeated softly. I'd forgotten that name. Or rather, the other Kushina had almost made him tell her before the end. This is good, Minako said, relief evident in her voice. Building a relationship with the tailed beast is essential for a Jinchuriki. If Naruto and Kurama can learn to work together instead of against each other, his potential is limitless. Speaking of potential, Kushina said, her expression becoming more serious, there's something else we need to teach you, Naruto. Something that only an Uzumaki with a strong bond to their tailed beast can learn. What is it? Naruto asked eagerly. The ability to temporarily cloak yourself in the Nine-Tails chakra without losing control, Kushina explained. It's dangerous, incredibly difficult, and will hurt like hell. But if you can master even the first stage of it, you'll have power that few can match. Then let's do it, Naruto said without hesitation. I'm not afraid of pain. Not if it means protecting my precious people. The training that followed was indeed painful. Learning to channel Kurama's chakra through his body without being consumed by it was like trying to hold on to lightning. It burned, it tore at him. It demanded more than he thought he had to give, but Naruto persisted, driven by determination, supported by Kushina and Minako's constant presence, encouraged by the knowledge that his parents had believed in him enough to trust him with this power. By the end of the month, Naruto could manifest a single tail of the Nine-Tails chakra, cloaking himself in red energy that enhanced his speed, strength, and healing to superhuman levels. It only lasted a few minutes before the strain became too much, but it was progress. You've done in 1 month what takes most Jinchuriki years to achieve, Minako said with genuine pride. Your father would be amazed. Your mother too, Kushina added, pulling Naruto into a hug. You're going to do great things, Gaki. I know it. Naruto hugged her back, feeling the love and pride radiating from both women, feeling like he finally understood what it meant to have a family. The night before the finals, Team 7 gathered on the roof of the apartment building where Minako and Kushina lived. The sky was clear, stars shining brightly, and the village below was alive with excitement for tomorrow's tournament. Can't sleep? Kushina asked as Naruto and Sakura arrived to find her and Minako already there. Too nervous, Sakura admitted. Tomorrow the whole village will be watching. What if I mess up? What if I embarrass myself? Then you get back up and try again, Minako replied simply. That's what being a ninja means, Sakura. We don't win every battle. We make mistakes, we fail, we fall. But we get back up. Besides, Kushina added with a grin, you've trained harder than almost anyone in this exam. You've earned your place in those finals. Now you just need to trust in your abilities and your teammates. Sasuke arrived last, moving silently. The curse mark was hidden beneath bandages and seals, but everyone could sense its presence. "How are you feeling?" Naruto asked him directly. "Like there's something dark inside me that wants out," Sasuke admitted, surprising everyone with his honesty. "But I'm controlling it. I won't let Orochimaru's poison ruin what I built with this team." "Good," Minako said. "Because that's exactly what he wants, to isolate you, make you think power is more important than bonds. Don't let him win." "I won't," Sasuke promised. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars, each lost in their own thoughts about the coming day. "You know," Naruto said eventually, "a few months ago, I was alone. I had nobody, nothing except a dream that seemed impossible. But now I have you guys, my team, my precious people, and I have Kushina and Minako, who are like family to me." He looked at the two women, his eyes shining with emotion. "I know it's weird, with the memories and everything. I know you're not technically my parents in this life. But you feel like my parents. You've given me what they couldn't: guidance, training, love, a place to belong. So thank you for everything." Kushina's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Naruto, we should be thanking you," Minako said softly. "You've given us purpose, helped us understand these impossible memories. Let us channel all this love and protectiveness into something positive. You've become precious to us in ways that defy explanation." "Group hug," Sakura announced suddenly, pulling everyone together. Even Sasuke didn't resist, allowing himself to be pulled into the embrace. For a moment they were just 5 people who cared about each other, connected by bonds that transcended normal definitions, facing an uncertain future together. "Tomorrow," Kushina said when they finally separated, "you 3 are going to show the entire ninja world what Team 7 is capable of. You're going to make us proud, though honestly you already have. We won't let you down," Naruto promised. "That's my ninja way." "Our ninja way," Sakura corrected, smiling. Sasuke added, which was about as close to agreement as he ever got. The stadium was packed, thousands of people filling the seats to watch the Chunin exam finals. Dignitaries from various countries occupied the VIP section, including the Wind Daimyo and his entourage. The air buzzed with excitement and anticipation. In the competitors' area, Naruto stood with his teammates, his heart pounding with a mixture of nervousness and excitement. This was it, the moment they'd been training for. Across the arena, Gaara stood alone, his siblings keeping their distance. The killing intent radiating from him was palpable, and Naruto felt Kurama stirring within the seal. "That one," Kurama rumbled in his mind, "carries Shikaku, the One-Tail. He's unstable, broken. Be careful, brat." "I will," Naruto thought back. "But I'm also going to try to reach him. He's like me, alone and hurting. Maybe I can show him there's another way." "You're an idiot," Kurama said, but there was almost fondness in his tone. "But you're my idiot. Fine. I'll lend you power if you need it." The matches were announced. First match, Naruto Uzumaki vs. Neji Hyuga. Naruto descended to the arena floor, facing the genius of the Hyuga clan. Neji looked at him with contempt and superiority. "A failure like you has no chance against someone like me," Neji declared. "Fate has already determined the outcome of this match." "Fate?" Naruto's eyes hardened. "I don't believe in fate. I believe in hard work, determination, and never giving up. And I'm going to prove that to you." As the match began, Naruto remembered everything Minako and Kushina had taught him, about strategy, about using his strengths wisely, about never underestimating an opponent. This was more than just a fight. This was his chance to prove that people could change their destiny, that hard work could overcome natural talent, that bonds were stronger than any predetermined fate. This was where Naruto Uzumaki would show the world what it meant to be a ninja, not in spite of being a Jinchuriki, but because of everything he'd learned, everyone who believed in him, and the unbreakable bonds he'd formed. The crowd fell silent as the proctor raised his hand. "Begin!" And the finals of the Chunin exams exploded into action.